Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 22nd episode of Tales of Tamriel. Sorry that we missed last week, but Thais and I had a friend come over and they visited for the weekend, and we were unable to make the show, which is alright, I guess. We needed a break, I guess. 21 episodes straight was kind of rough. No, I'm just kidding. We love doing this. But, yeah, we're back and we got a lot of stuff to go over. As always, I am your host, Agelos, and with me this evening we have the lovely, she who is mad at me for naming all of my mounts Franklin, Thais. How are you doing this afternoon?
I am fabulous. It's a great day. We've been swimming. It's just amazing. Stop naming all your pets Franklin.
I was gonna say, yeah, we've been swimming, and I know in the Quest Gaming Network for their Elder Scrolls Off the Record, they start a show by saying that they took all their pants off. For me, it's about time for when I'm ready to start a show because I take my shirt off because I'm always hot. But this sunburn on my back is making me even hotter. I am dying over here. It is rough. Anyway, we also have a returning guest, our friend and PvP meathead himself, Deltia of Deltia's Gaming. How are you doing today?
What up? Hey, glad to be back for real. Yeah, ready to talk some more Elder Scrolls and be a meathead.
Awesome. And I want to thank my co-host, my guest, for joining us today. Well, since we didn't have a show last week, we have 2 weeks of news to go over, and man, there's a lot of it to get into. So, without further ado, let's rip through some of these show notes, shall we? All right, first off, let's start off with the Guild Spotlight. They did a Guild Spotlight last week for another one of their guild events or guild community events, and it's for a French guild by the name of, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. I'm sure with it being French, it has a type of, I don't know, accent to it, but it's essentially Metatron. So, it's a French guild, Metatron, pretty cool. I was looking through their stuff. They represent the Ebonheart Pact, so automatically, yay. Yay, Ebonheart Pact. Ebonheart Pact is awesome. So if you are a French-speaking player and are interested, you should go check them out. They are active every day, and they like doing PvP bounties. Apparently from 8:45 to 10:30 CEST. So, most of their people come from France as well as Switzerland and Belgium. So, kind of a neat little European guild. Got to give them some exposure. Those poor European communities over there. But if you're interested, check them out on the main website. They look pretty awesome. Next up, some smaller news, but something I thought was kind of neat. Everything from Rotmeth to Sajama, ESO shot glasses. I think this would be more interesting news if we had shot glasses here on the show that we could, test. Test. Did you guys see the shot glasses? Deltia, did you see them? They're on the Bethesda store.
I have not. No, I've bought so much stuff from them lately. I don't need to buy anything more. I didn't get my 30 days free either, which makes me mad. We'll go over that probably.
We will, and I feel you on that one. But it's pretty neat. They're actually shot glasses that have the emblem of each of the factions on them, and they're pretty neat. I mean, I'm not a heavy drinker, but I think I would try it if I had one, just because it's authentic. What do you think, Thais? How much is the price tag on that? I see you have it up there.
$30, and they look pretty cool. They really do. And I think if you were to ever do a shot of anything, you'd probably keel over instantly, because you really are not a very heavy drinker. But they do look really nice.
I'm the only sober Nord in existence besides the tavern in East March, the sober Nord. I know, it's crazy. Is it $30 for the set or $30 for one? Does it say?
$30 for a set of 3. Yes.
Oh, excellent. One for each. That's pretty cool. All right, next up on the purchase train, new ESO leather accessories. Now, I'm going to say this right off the bat, and when I first saw this, the first thought was of a Varwin from Quest Gaming Network and the Man Purse, because don't worry, buddy, I love it too, and I want it. The leather Man Purse is awesome. What do you guys think? I know, Thais, you were looking at a couple things. What do you think?
Oh, I love the messenger bag. I definitely want one. Although what I'm more interested in is the leather notebook because I kind of have a problem where I'm addicted to notebooks. Don't know why. I just love having them in all shapes and sizes. So the notebook looks amazing with its little leather tie.
Neat. I think they had a notebook, they had a keychain, a wallet, and the messenger bag. Both look really neat. And how much is the messenger bag? Just so I know.
Are you sure you want to know? Because it says it's 180 bucks.
No,
Oh,
it's really not that much, is it?
That's what it says. And when I click on
Wow.
it, it says that it is authentic special leather.
That better be authentic
And
for that.
that's why. Oh, there we go. The high quality genuine leather.
$180, huh? Man, they better give me a free month of ESO with that. Speaking of free month of ESO, if you pick up the Hero's Guide to ESO this month, they'll give you a free month of game time up until July 6th. I'm a little peeved about this because I bought it on day one. What do you guys think? Deltia, give us your thoughts.
I did buy it. I didn't buy it on day one like you, but yeah, it's just another thing that kind of, I mean, what are you going to do? Can't go back in time. It's like buying a computer, the day you buy it, it becomes outdated type thing. So I don't know. I'm just happy with what I got, so I'm enjoying the game.
I love the Hero's Guide, and for anyone who is interested in these physical things, I gotta say, it is a gorgeous set. All three of us here on the show have them, and Nick can tell you they're really well put together, and I think it was worth the money personally, especially as a collector. I mean, yes, some people argue that it's throwaway money because that's essentially what it is because it's swag for a video game. But if you're into it, I don't see what the problem is. But I've spent a lot more and gotten a lot less from other stuff. So, but if you are interested and you've been kind of teetering on the edge of whether or not you want to get it, I say jump on it now because it's essentially $15 off. It'll pay for your ESO subscription for one more month. So, check it out. Hero's Guide. That's out on the Bethesda store. And there we go. All right, we're going to move on to the next part of the news. Still, we're going to do a lot more in the community programs, and they released another Battle Master Corner. This time, the build is called the Storm Conduit. Sorcerer OP. And it's kind of neat. They are Sorcerer, and they go through giving their skills. They look like kind of like a shock trooper is what it reminds me. And I'd actually probably use this build if I played a Sorcerer. Looks like they're using heavy armor, two-handed weapons, critical charge. Pretty neat stuff. Base, what do you think about it?
Oh, I really like this since, I'm kind of running around in heavy armor anyway, and I am a sorcerer. Although I don't use, I use my staff. I really do enjoy my staff, but I like this build. I really do. Except that I'd probably make a few changes instead of using the two-handed axes with the plate. I'd probably be using daggers with my lightning spells, like the one before. I like it though. It seems interesting.
I do like it, and to be honest, this is pretty much the type of play style that I would prefer to play. Even though I'm a Templar, if I do a sorcerer, it will probably be something very similar to this. Deltia, since you're the PvP meathead with us, looking over this set of skills, do you think this is more of a PvP type build or more of a PvE related build?
I mean, I think it's more of a PvE related build. It just really depends. Like, a lot of the PvP abilities are based off of roots and CCs. What can you remove that from you? High burst because the battles don't last very long. So, I mean, it's just another build type thing. To be honest with you, I'm not that impressed by it. They're not releasing like the super overpowered builds like Kipster, the guy from the guild, will tell you about. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like Dragon Knight healing. I mean, but this thing, okay. Not
Right.
too impressed, sorry.
No, and that's fine. I mean, that's the best part about this game with all the different skills and stuff. We can make our own builds. I tend to see this really as if you can get close, it's fine. But in PvP, I think this would just get destroyed. Because heavy armor, as much as I love heavy armor and what I prefer to wear both aesthetically and just because I like the feel of it and I like the survivability, anyone will tell you that heavy armor, if you're not making a defensive tank type character, don't even bother. Like the way he's building it as a DPS with that two-handed greatsword, he's not pulling out the min-max numbers here. He doesn't have any of the stamina regen from the medium armor or anything of that nature is what it looks like, especially from the photos. So I don't know if he switched that around, but all the pictures it's heavy armor. So yeah, full plate even says it up there.
Yeah, no one runs full plate. Having heavy armor is really good because it has health generation, all that. But if you're trying to do DPS, you're losing a lot of DPS. Having a 5-piece light will definitely give you a lot of crit. There's no diminishing returns on crit. This is one game where it doesn't matter. So you want crit, in other words.
Yeah, and see, I would run around in full plate for my solo or duo PvE only because the survivability is nice and I'm not really worried about nuking something down. But anything like veteran dungeons and trials, if I was trying to actually go for a specific, if I'm filling a DPS role, I'm going to go with and I know some Elder Scrolls fans will hate me for this, but there's a reason why they call them cookie cutter builds because someone did the math and went, listen, this is what, if you're going DPS, this will push the most amount of DPS. Hence why we all play the Elder Staves online. Because it is. If you're going DPS, Destruction Staff, Light Armor, if you're doing anything else, you're doing it wrong if you're going for a min-maxing type of thing. But I would do
something.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Big shout out to Kipster in the guild. Basically, he's like a big time gamer. He's really doing the trials and being successful at it. And so I asked him if I could get some advice on our guild, like how we're built and what we could do. And he really came in here for about an hour to our team speak and explained everything, like all the top trial people, what they're doing. And it made a huge difference. So big thanks to him. And basically, everyone's using a distro staff that's DPS. You can't get away from it. And I know the game was designed on, builds are important and this and that. But just like any other game, there's going to be a way to find out what's the best. And it looks like people have already found that out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll actually be talking about something a little later on that talks about different builds and stuff like that later on in the news. But yeah,
right.
I love Kip. It's cool. I like doing shout outs for him because he's my Rent-A-Kip in the guild. He's awesome. I actually watched a stream of him and his guild doing Ethereum Archive the other night. And they did really well. They got it down. I think they got it down in under 15 minutes. Now, with a couple deaths, it added a few minutes of time. I think they cleared it in 20 minutes or something like that. But it was pretty impressive how they had it, and they ripped through that. Okay, off that rabbit trail, we're going to move on to the next part of the community programs, and it's another Lore Masters Archive. Inexplicable Patron. Again, I'm not going to read these because these lore things we kind of go into in the show, especially during our book readings. But this one is about Minfalia, one of the Daedric princes. And it actually is really cool. It looks like they just pulled in a book from the game and they explained the lore and did a little bit of a story, as well as a little bit of Q&A based around Minfalia, as well as some of the other dark, bad, as they quoted, Daedra. So if you're interested about reading a little bit about our, I guess I shouldn't say friend, because I guess she's one of the bad Daedric princes, but if you're interested in checking that out, you can go see that on the official Elder Scrolls online page. It is definitely an interesting read. It really is. Okay. Moving on to the next section. This is going to be the last of the news that we're just touching on. Because this isn't something that really interests me, nor could I talk intelligible about this, but they had an AMA on Reddit from the audio team at ZeniMax. So if you're into any kind of sound production or anything of that nature, it is definitely worth the read, because they don't really talk about the game really so much in real detail, but they get real deep into the technical side of things. And if you're into music or sound production, it is definitely worth the read. You can find that over on Reddit, on the Elder Scrolls Online Reddit. I know Thais didn't really see this. She wasn't really interested in looking at it, because I know I read through it and it was a hard read. Deltia, before we move on, did you actually see this?
I have not. No, not yet.
It's like I said, it's a niche kind of thing. If you're interested in sound design, it's worth the read. But if that does not interest you, or you don't understand it, it's a tedious read, because I don't understand it all that well, and I went through it because I'm an IT related person. I work in IT as a system administrator, so I get technical side of things. I was seeing how they kind of built and worked with the game, but this was mostly all sound production. Interesting, but if you don't understand it, it's hard to follow. So it was neat. It was definitely neat, because the entire team got together. They all answered all the questions. It was really cool. But if you don't have an interest in sound design, I wouldn't bother. There's nothing earth-shattering, ground-shaking there for the layman form of players. All right. We're going to move into the next set of the news, and this is going to be patch notes. In the time that it took us to record, we had 2 sets of patch notes come out. The first patch note was 1.1.5. I'm not really going to go over this in great detail, because it's now kind of out of date, and that featured kind of quest fixes as well as incremental patches before the second game content update. So it was a smaller kind of little pre-patch. They had some bug fixes. There wasn't a lot on there. If you're interested in checking it out, however, please go to the Elder Scrolls Online forums under the patch notes sections, and you can read through the notes. Now, the big news is patch 1.2.3 came out, which was their content patch 2, and which is also good why we didn't have a show, because it took Thais and I 4 days to patch the game, because this thing was huge. I know people were like, where were you guys? Are you bored of Elder Scrolls? We're like, no, we're not bored. It just literally took us 4 days to patch the game. So, first off with the overview, this is the second major content update with an introduction to the veteran Crypt of Hearts dungeon, as well as many other fixes and refinements to gameplay, quests, and more. We have also added a new field of view slider for first-person view and improved overall interaction with the world. We're going to go down through the bullet points here, and we're going to talk about them. First off, Veteran Crypt of Hearts. The Veteran Crypt of Hearts is open, and they talk about the story a little bit. The only person in the show right now that could actually talk about this, Deltia. It's a veteran rank 12 dungeon. Have you touched Crypt of Hearts yet?
Unfortunately, no. And the reason being, we usually have 3 veteran rank players on a night. Veteran rank 12, that is, but not 4. So we're starting out small. So a bunch of us are leveling up. Well, I'm done, but we're just farming gear for the others. So no, not yet. But I've done every single one of the other ones, and those are a blast. So I haven't checked this one out yet.
All right. Well, I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit, because I think it'll kind of fit in with this. The veteran rank dungeons, the ones you've done so far, what's the difficulty like?
To be honest with you, even if you're VR 12, you're probably not going to be able to pug them by yourself. But if you got a good group, I mean, we can 3-man them now, but it's going to take some time, especially for pugs. It's like, it's not going to work out really well for you, unfortunately, but I think they're hard. They hit really hard. Tanking's very, very hard, because everyone's used to kind of the tank doing everything, and really everyone has to survive. Everyone has to be able to move and coordinate well, get out of the red type of stuff. So it's not like if you're used to other MMO dungeon stuff where DPS just sits back and doesn't have to kite and CC, this is not going to be for you. So really, you're going to have to do everything, and maybe even off heal. You're going to have to CC a lot. Everyone's going to have to participate, and that's really hard for some people to get. I've tried to pug some of the dungeons. It is an absolute nightmare. You can do it working your way up, but once you get to veteran content, it's not doable. Basically, I haven't found it to be, at least. So it's a lot of fun. Healing really matters. I mean, really. Kipster told us some tips, and it really made a huge difference. Our healers are great too, but yeah, tanking is so hard, and so is DPS. I mean, DPS have to actually kite and run around and stuff. So every role is critical. You can't have a weak link in the chain. Where in other games, I felt like you could, and just a strong tank could carry you through, or a strong DPS could just rip through stuff. So that's my opinion on it.
That actually really excites me, because even doing the dungeons that we've done so far, and again, during the leveling process, they were, okay, they're kind of whatever. But I helped Rage Philosophy in the guild. He's from Quest Gaming Network the other night. We just went through the lowest level Fungal Grotto, just the two of us. And I'm a VR1, and he was 28. And there were a couple times where we were still like, normally you can solo stuff that's that low of level in other games. They would, if you weren't careful, if I had to toss a couple emergency heals a few times, because I was thinking we'd go in, we'd rip through it. But no, they actually, if we weren't on our toes, they would have ripped us apart. I'm excited to try the veteran dungeons, though. This is really exciting, because we did the level 50 version of, what is that dungeon now? Base, do you know what it was, the one we ran with Kipster?
The spider one?
No, that one was awesome too, but the highest level one in Cold Harbor. Well, we can't remember it right now.
Oh, yeah. Forget which one. Yeah.
It's the one with the Mad Architect in it, and now it's driving me nuts. I can't remember it.
The Vault of Madness?
There we go, Vault of Madness. And that was, even for not being a veteran rank dungeon, and we actually had Kipster tank, and then I think at the time he was VR10, because this is before VR12 came out. And we wiped once or twice. We wiped a lot on the one boss till we figured out what we were doing.
Once or twice, try, I don't know, 7 or 8 on the one boss alone, because we just couldn't figure out how to move around the area and not set our butts on fire.
Indeed. So I think with most dungeons, once you learn the mechanics and what's going through, it becomes a little easier, because the next time we went through was a lot easier. But I'm definitely excited to see that the veteran rank dungeons are not a joke. And actually, another part of the news they did was peer into the Crypt of Hearts, where the developers talk a little bit about how they went around designing the Crypt of Hearts. And they actually, in the video and everything that they showed, they said this is some of the hardest content that you'll experience, because we've really ranked up these veteran dungeons are meant to be the quote unquote small group end game, if you will, and it really is rough. So I'm excited. I really am. I'm hoping to get into them pretty soon. Okay. Anyone have anything else to say about Crypt of Hearts?
I'm excited to try it.
Well, we got a little while to go, babe. We're VR1, and that's a VR12 dungeon.
That's okay. We may level slowly, but I know that we'll get there.
Excellent. Next up, Field of View slider. Allows you to move to a 70 degree to 130 degree field of view. I've played with it, and I adore it. I think it's awesome. I think I have set it at 130, but I took Thais in as soon as the patch was up, and I went into a room, and I faced my character at a wall that I clearly put a picture in between at the center of my sight, and I started adjusting it so I could see the difference. And it is pretty neat difference. Have you played with it at all, Deltia?
No, I haven't. I don't play in that perspective, because I like to, see everything. But how do you even set it? Do you have to go to first person and do it, or?
You don't have to, but it's nice to get a feel. You actually go into your settings and then in the camera, and there's a little slider for first person. Now, what I did is I went into first person so I could get a perspective of what the degree field of view was. So I started at the center, and I found a spot where, if you're just running around, it might be kind of hard to see a difference between 70 and 130. To me, it wasn't that hard to see the difference, but it was easier for me to pick an object in the distance to set as my focus, and then saw my peripheral vision expand or contract based on how I slid the bar. It definitely, like, it just moves everything a little in close. Like, you can't see as much. Like, the picture is mostly in your center view at the smallest, and it allows you to go out a little bit further at 130. Like, the best way to see this is pull out a weapon and hold it in your hands and see how it looks, because at 130 you can see more of the weapon than you can at 70. It's kind of neat. If you're into the first person, which I am for immersion, but again, that's when I'm solo questing. If I'm doing any kind of group content or PvP, third person all the way, I need situational awareness. I can't imagine doing like a veteran dungeon or a trial in first person view. You would bring your entire team down. You really would. No situational awareness. It's like, something smells like it's burning. Maybe it's the fire you're standing in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to move on to the next section, picking up armor and weapons. Again, this is something that I think the original Elder Scrolls players will really enjoy. And I've noticed that when I started opening chests and stuff now, that you start getting armor and stuff out of just chests. They're pretty much worthless because they're a low quality, they're a white item. They sell for 0 gold. You can upgrade them through crafting. But if you deconstruct them, it's barely worth deconstructing them, and they rarely yield usable resources. I probably deconstructed upwards of probably 75 of these 0 gold items, not got a single thing out of them in terms of usable resources, but they did move my inspiration bar up a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. So, they're good for a breakdown, or if you or desperately need new armor, because they seem to be the level of the zone. So like if you were leveling up and you didn't really get new armor and you went to the next zone, and the next zone is level 20 zone, all the armor you'll pick up is level 20, because that's the first thing that happened when we went to the VR zone. Every single thing we pick up is veteran rank 1. Yes, it's low quality, but if I was still wearing like level 30 stuff, it might be considered an upgrade, It's definitely a cool thing. It really is. And actually one of the coolest things, you can actually rip armor off weapon racks and stuff like that now. Like I was literally doing this, just going up to the weapon rack going, I'm stealing that. And you see it get ripped off the rack and thrown into your pack. From an Elder Scrolls fan, it's really cool. It adds to your immersion.
Yeah.
It makes the world feel alive when you walk by and see a mace sitting on a weapon rack and go, 5-finger discount, and just steal it and run off. Thank goodness the justice system isn't in yet.
Uh-oh.
Segue, but I did the segue too early. Next part of the patch, improved interior lighting. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Thais, what do you think of the improved interior lighting?
I didn't see much of it because, when I'm in game, I'm not really indoors. And that's where you really see a lot of it. But with the stained glass windows, because I know you and I were staring at windows for a while, it moves with the time of day, and it's really pretty with the shadows, and it's bright with the window. The improved lighting was an amazing thing to add. It adds so much more realism to the game. Aesthetic wise, I think it was a wise choice to improve.
Delty, have you seen the new lighting for interior?
Oh, yeah, love it. I mean, it's just this game is very beautiful graphics wise. It really is, and it just adds to it. It does. So I'm glad they're going to continue to upgrade the graphics. It's pretty impressive, the quality of this game as far as graphically.
You know, a lot of people complain about when the game first was announced that the graphics looked pretty bad, but I gotta say, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Like I said earlier on, and I know Thais, you can probably will shout your agreement with this later on. The armor models generally were bad, but the environmental models are gorgeous.
I completely agree with that. One of the things when we first got the game and we were in the beta, I was complaining about the character models. Not so much their faces and their body type, but the way their clothes looked. I didn't like it at all. But the environments around your character is full of life and everything's moving and it's crisp and the world just feels real, which is what you expect from an Elder Scrolls game. And they did an amazing job. So adding this type of lighting, just they keep making it better and better.
One thing that I pointed out, or that Thais asked me, and I noticed is when you go in here, they actually took a lot of time on this. The light moves based on the time of day. So like when you go in there, like the pictures that are on the website that we see right now, you can see the sun coming in. It looks like maybe late afternoon. The sun will actually move, and the lighting actually moves like the sun goes based on the time of day it is in the zone. So when you go in one day, the light might be facing a different direction. It is really, really neat, the amount of detail they put into it. It's just, that's one of those little things they could have improved the interior lighting and let it stagnant. You know, you walk in and it's, oh, look, you can see shadows on the ground. Oh, that looks great. I doubt many people would really notice that the light doesn't move based on the time of day outside, but they actually took that into consideration, and it does. When you go outside and it's, you know, sunset, the light shining in from the west, and it's shining up against, you know, the wall, and it looks really neat, and it moves all the way around. It looks really, really great. Anyone have anything else to say about the interior lighting?
It does make it. I like it. Makes you feel like vibrant. I mean, immersion this game really is good at, and that's why I keep playing it. You know, it's just you feel like you're in a different world, and that's what a game should feel like.
Indeed, indeed. I think because my game patched about a day before the Aces did, so I wasn't gonna play. I went on, checked my research just because we play together. It's one of the things we do. But I went into the building because I knew this is one thing I wanted to look at. I think I sat and stared at the light for like 20 minutes, just sitting there watching the light coming through the glass, and that enthralled me. It was fantastic. All right. Do you have updrafts in your robe? Like, does wind kind of catch underneath and give you a cold breeze? Well, rejoice, because now you can craft light armor jerkins for added comfort and style.
Amazing.
Are you a guy tired of wearing a dress? Well, now you don't have to. I saw that. I thought that was actually really cool because some of the light armor, specifically the pants and the boots, had a really nice style. Like, because I plan on my character near the end having part heavy armor and part light armor, because I like, you know, for my solo builds. And I particularly was going to wear a heavy chest and shoulders, but the rest was going to be light armor. And I loved the look of the pants and the boots, because the way they were done, it looked really cool. But when you put those on and then you had a robe over top of it, you couldn't see anything. Like, you just lost the boots and you lost the pants. They got covered up. I like robes, specifically in my heavy armor, by the way. I love the robe, Templar-ish, heavy armor looking stuff. But for a caster, I would prefer just to wear pants. So, kind of a neat little thing. Now you don't have to feel like a cross-dresser if you're a guy playing a caster. You can now wear a shirt and pants. Yay. Okay. Solo versus group content callouts. I think this will definitely help the new players out than veteran players. I really don't think it's going to matter to veteran players. But now whenever you enter an instance, it does tell you what kind of instance it is, such as Spindle Clutch, aka Thais's Terror, would now have in parentheses a group instance, or if you went into a public dungeon, it would say public dungeon, so you kind of know what it is you're going into when you go into it.
My terror has actually been upgraded to Celine's Web because the final boss in that dungeon just totally made me want to poop myself.
It really did. It was hilarious. If we ever get better internet, we're streaming your face, just kind of like one of those Two Girls, One Cup video reaction videos.
Oh, no.
Where you just sit here staring at your face. Yeah, okay, it's a dungeon. Yeah, what? What is that? Oh no! It'd be great. It will be great, and I'm monetizing that. We'll make millions. We really will.
I'm glad my terror amuses you.
It was quite funny. It got to the point where when we were running that dungeon, she got so freaked out because of the spider, she literally jumped up from her chair and ran out of the room. So it was like Kipster, myself, and oh my goodness, I couldn't pronounce his name, so I feel bad. I'm so sorry. But we were sitting there going, well, guys, we're without a healer now because our healer just ran out of the bedroom and now she's somewhere crying in the kitchen. It was awesome. It really was. All right, so now they also had some fixes and stuff that I'm not really going to go over because reading patch notes for fixes and improvements can get rather boring. But one of the notes that I really liked was large bows will no longer clip into your head when you're crouched in stealth. That annoyed me. It really did. It looked like I had a massive headache. But does anyone have anything else about these notes before we move on?
Are you talking about class-specific stuff? Did you look at
anything that jumped out to you that interested you? I know we're going to be talking about the improvements to stamina-based abilities and Templar buffs later on.
They did another slight nerf to my Dragon Knight on my Talons. It definitely generates ultimate a lot less. So they kept saying they were going to keep changing that, and I can really feel it, which is good because it was at a point where I could just ultimate swap. So looks like they have addressed that somewhat.
Oh, yeah, well, you can't play the Elder Staves online if you're not a Dunmer Dragon Knight vampire with a destruction staff. You do that, you win. That's it, you win. Right. You win the game. Giant I win button. So, stupid, overpowered Dragon Knights.
Hey, we need a buff.
We need a buff. Oh my goodness. We need a buff. All right. Next up on the notes, and this is actually kind of neat. They released a known issues thread on the official forums for the content update 2. And one thing I got to applaud ZeniMax on is the openness of, what they're showing, because a lot of game companies don't tell us this kind of stuff. They're like, yeah, no, we'll fix it in a later patch. But they actually are keeping a running list of the different bugs that they've experienced so far and that have been reported to them with Content Update 2, and are actually giving people an idea of when it's going to be fixed. Like, first off, with the Alliance War, with forward camps, that they're tracking several separate issues with forward camps. These include disappearing range indicators, forward camps being removed from the map prematurely, or not visible in the map at all. And they actually have a status going, currently testing fixes for all issues to be released in a future patch. Now that seems kind of vague, but what they kind of did is they color-coded it. So the red status means it's still being worked on, they don't really have an idea. And another one, they had a yellow status for like frames per second drop. So any people who are FPS junkies out there, there are reports of FPS drops in larger battles than select campaigns, including Wabbajack, aka the only campaign that's still active. Now, they do have a fix for it, and they tell us on Monday, June 30th, they're going to be patching it in 1.2.4.
I just saw something in this list. Remember when we went to the veteran zone and you were saying, "Oh no, this kind of sucks. The recipes now go for 0 gold. It is a known issue and not intended." So there you go.
Awesome, because I just sold my recipes that were greens and got myself like 9 gold. So I mean, it wasn't a lot, but it was better than nothing. They were worth more than a lot of trash I'm picking up in the veteran rank stuff. So I'm like, hey, why not? Junk and sell junk later on. But I think it's really, really neat that they're being very open with us and having this running list and what they're working on. So, yeah. Anyone have anything to say about that?
Yeah, they've been really open as far as everything, their development, their failures, and their successes. I appreciate that from a developer because you never hear that. So it's refreshing.
Oh, I do too. I've played a lot of other games where you did not hear anything. Even what if it was good, you heard nothing. You were always kept in the dark as a player. But being able to know this kind of information really lets a player know that the people that are making the game you're playing are paying attention. They're listening to you. They want you to know what's going on. They want to give you a heads up. I'm really thankful that they're taking this step because you don't see this very often, and I appreciate that as well.
Exactly. Here's a good story. Is back in the day, developers didn't have to be as open with their players. They really didn't because there wasn't a lot of options. But now with so many MMOs, the most recent MMO launch that I can remember besides this was the relaunch of Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. There were a lot of launch problems when the game was relaunched because developers they weren't prepared for the amount of players who were going to be there because it was a relaunch of a failed MMO. They were like, this is never going to go. But they had such a huge amount of players trying to get in that it crashed the servers. They were dead silent. Dead silent. You would be getting these error messages. You'd be on the forums going, I don't know what's going on. Nothing. It was like a week of silence from the developers, and it was bad. Now they've since changed that because players were rightly getting very, very upset because there were things wrong. And now they're so open that they tell you everything. Whether a developer goes and gets coffee, they're like, be right back, developer going to get coffee. 10 minutes max, be right back and going to be going back to coding. It's a lot of games now are seeing that they're, especially as an MMO player, we're all MMO players here. We are very invested in the games we play. When I play very few MMOs, I kind of attach to maybe one or two, and that's it. I won't play other ones because I'm really into the ones, and I invest time in them for years. You know, ESO, Final Fantasy XIV, those are the two that I've really invested in, that I really enjoy, and I plan on going the long distance. I mean, obviously, I subscribed for 6 months right off the bat when ESO came out, and I have no plans on changing that when it's up for renewal. I'll do another 6 months because I'm enjoying it so much. But as a player who's willing to invest potentially years of time into this game, we, as a player base, always want to be informed. So the developers who are tight-lipped about it going, the players will always be there, the player base is changing. We want to know. We don't want to invest our time in an MMO where our concerns may never get addressed. It seems like a new MMO being released every week. So there's a lot more places for us to go. Back in like the early days and when Warcraft came out, there was no other options. They could be as tight-lipped as they wanted because you couldn't really go anywhere else. But now there are options that developers have to say, this is what we have for you. We know there's problems and this is what we're going to do to fix it. We understand your concerns. Because if they were tight-lipped about it and didn't tell us when there were issues or we didn't know, I could tell you that would be a big hit on whether or not I wanted to continue playing. Because as a player, if something is important to me, I want to know if it's going to be fixed or if they're going to be like, yeah, no, it's working as intended. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the Blizzard dance studio that they announced and everyone was hyped for, and they never, ever, ever did it, and then it was scrapped completely like 4 years later. So I do appreciate it. I really do. Anything else about this particular thing before we move on?
Nope.
Okay. They released another article called Creating ESO. I love these things, and it's the Veteran Dungeons. Now, we kind of talked pretty heavily about Veteran Dungeons in this show. Did either of you read this article, Deltia?
About the veteran dungeon creation? No.
No? Thace, did you read any of it? No? Okay. Well, I did, because I enjoy I actually really enjoy these. They don't really tell you a lot gameplay wise, but they kind of get into how the developers went about creating it. Like you really get into the heads of what the development team had in mind for when they were doing this, and they talk about how they were creating veteran dungeons and what their initial plans were for it.
I actually didn't even see this because up until this point, I had read all the creating ESO articles because I enjoy reading them as well. What they were actually thinking when they went about doing it.
It is really neat when they go on going, yes, when you go in to do an encounter, you do an encounter, you're like, okay, yeah, I move out of the fire when he throws the fire here. Oh, I try to do this, and I try to do this, and this is how I defeat the boss. But the developers kind of go into a lot in these things about how they wanted the encounter to feel, why they made them do this stuff. It is really neat. It is really, really neat. And in the veteran dungeon one, they talk about how they wanted to make this group instance more than just something you just run through, like heroics and other games, like WoW's heroic dungeons, or something that if you don't clear in 10 minutes, that's it. Or I know this is a problem in Final Fantasy XIV. The hard mode dungeons, if it's not a speed run, they don't want to do it. Get it done in 9 minutes and that's it, because you're farming for a particular resource or a currency. These, they wanted it to be an adventure, and they really wanted it to be difficult. So if you're interested in actually seeing what the developers intended, I do encourage you to read this article. I found it incredibly, incredibly enjoyable to read. So, Creating ESO Veteran Dungeons is out on the official Elder Scrolls Online page. Moving on to the next section here. Since we're going to talk about it a little bit, upcoming Templar buffs. Thank goodness, thank Stendar, thank all the Divines. I'll even thank the Daedra if that's what it takes. Because, Delty, I'm sure you, as a min-maxer type of person, you'll understand, Templars were pretty much the weakest class in the game.
Yeah.
In every role, with the exception of healing. Healing, they were pretty good.
Where are the buffs for sorcerers? Like I would really like a buff.
No. Nerf back.
But I'm not a Dragon Knight sorcerer, vampire, dark elf. I'm not one of those. I am a Breton sorcerer. I deserve a buff.
I'm a Nord.
It doesn't matter. The sorcerers, they're one of the top DPS in the game, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what's really, really funny is people were complaining about Nightblade. Now, I agree, Nightblade needs some changes. Nightblade still pull better DPS than Templars. And they tank better than Templars, too.
See, that is so crazy to me, because when we're playing together, you're like whacking the stuffing out of people, and I feel like I'm just, spitting on them. I'm doing like no damage. I'm dying every 10 seconds. I have no idea what I'm doing wrong. I might have to sit down and like really ask for feedback from people, because I am just about the worst ESO player, and I know why that is. I know it's because in any other game, I am a horrible DPS. I cannot DPS to play my life. I can heal very well. In dungeons, I got my healing down to... I am just amazing. When it comes to DPS, I'm just horrible.
Unless there's spiders in the dungeon, then you're probably the worst healer I've ever seen, because it's hard to heal when you're not sitting at your chair.
Yeah, that does make healing a little difficult. Just a little bit.
But I think a lot of the Templar problems are... We have no magicka restoration abilities. Almost every other class has some sort of regen ability for magicka. We're, I think, the only person or the only class that has a stamina regeneration, but we'll be talking about that a little later. Stamina builds suck, so it doesn't matter. No one's going to use it. But all of our stuff, while certain things hit hard, they cost a ton of magicka. Like even the heal when we were running the veteran dungeon, or not veteran dungeon, veteran content, I said I'll take care of the heals up until a certain point, because my my Honor the Dead heal is very powerful. It's outright, I'd say it's probably more powerful of a heal than almost any other ability in the game, but it also costs 3 times the amount. I can only cast it 3, maybe 4 times before I'm completely drained of magicka. But I really did want to talk about this because the Puncturing Strikes for Adric's Spear, which is probably our hardest hitting melee ability, they are increasing the overall damage to all targets by 10%. The closest target is increased to essentially 110%. And the Piercing Spear passive will add melee critical strike in addition to spell critical strike when using the spear abilities. It's kind of also a weird thing because Templars are kind of that weird hybrid kind of thing. We double dip. From all the numbers I've seen, we double dip into both melee crit and spell crit as well. So it's kind of hard to max both out because if you're going all out into one, like your spell crit, if you're using a destruction staff, your entire line benefits. But with us, if you're trying to up your melee as well as your crit, you're having it down the line. They increased Nova to be capable of critical strikes, which is awesome, and they increased the dot damage by 20%. There's a few other little buffs in here. That one was a big one that I liked. Sun's Flare will now last an extra second, which will add a little bit extra damage. A lot of this stuff, other than the change to Puncturing Strikes and Sun's Fire with the increasing overall damage by 10%, it seems to be pretty much minor tweaks that I hope that will bring us up. But like Puncturing Strikes, as a Templar, I could say, yes, it does hit hard. It really does. But does it hit hard enough to justify the magicka cost? I would say no. I really would.
Have you used Equilibrium much?
See, I don't have that on my bar currently because I run stamina build as well as a magicka build, which I do want to add that onto my bar. But it's still, that's rough. That ability takes away other abilities that I need to survive as a Templar, because that's pretty much my hardest hitting ability.
Yeah, and here's the problem with the stamina, like you're getting into, is that if you're in you have the Mage's Guild ability Equilibrium, you have someone else healing you, essentially you have infinite magic. So who cares if your spell cost is 90% of your thing? You hit Equilibrium, with all your passives of the Mage Guild, you're looking at 40% increase in power. You hit that ability next with the 70% crit, you're doing 1000 DPS. That's what everyone's doing. And that's the problem with the game right now, Equilibrium. It's the one thing that everyone can use. It gives you an infinite magic pool, and no one else has the ability to do that. That's what I think should be taken out of the game.
That'd be interesting. I think it would be nice if they added just a freaking huge cooldown to it, like once every 2-minute cooldown.
Or make the magic cost ridiculous, or the health cost ridiculous, or something. But what the state of the game is now, that's why staves are so powerful. Is it's AOE most of it. You can spam it essentially with the cost thing that you can just, if you have someone else healing you, you're not going to run around with Equilibrium solo. You're not. But you get in a group setting like that where you got a pocket healer, you're just putting out 1,000 damage per second because you never have to worry about it, basically. So, like you said, stamina doesn't hit very hard. Plus, you're using your stamina pool for all your CC breaks. You're using it to roll, to dodge, to sprint. So your pool is already being tied up with other resources, in my opinion. So that's where I see what's wrong with it.
Right, and that's a good segue. Let's talk about they're doing an improvement to stamina-based abilities. Now, they go through this and they added some damage over time ability to bow, and they increased snipe, a couple of the abilities. Now, they didn't overall, I don't think they overall addressed, like you said, the stamina issue with abilities. They took 2 abilities from the two-handed weapon tree. They reduced the stamina cost by 2% per piece equipped. The Windwalker passive, they've adjusted that a little bit, but they didn't really hit a lot of what's causing the problem. In my opinion, stamina, like you said, it's not even double dipping, it's triple dipping here. you got your CC breaks, you got your dodging. All that eats stamina, as well as all your feats that you use for your melee. So if you meant to keep a high DPS stamina build, our auto attacks would have to hit like a truck, because let's face it, all of the feats are what do damage. And I'm sure, like, Delta, you can agree, even Destruction Staff, the abilities do way more damage than the light and heavy attacks. They do.
Right. Yeah.
But those use a lot of stamina, and if you're sitting there spamming your abilities trying to keep your DPS up, you are going to be completely out of stamina. You're not going to be able to dodge. You're not going to be able to CC break. If anything like that happens to you, you're screwed as a person. Honestly, I think they should... I know it's going to be kind of weird. I think they need to add another resource. Like what Guild Wars 2 did. They had an endurance bar for dodging and, for this case, CC break, where it would fill up and you could essentially do it twice. I think they need to add something else into the game that is what CC break and dodging use.
Right. I think you're exactly right. Yeah, because CC break or like immunity, like immunity to CCs, I think that needs to be redone, where basically, I can CC lock you as a Night Blade and you can never even do anything. Like Star Wars Old Republic, it has a lot of things wrong with the PvP, but a lot of it was right in the fact that CCs, I thought, were really well balanced. It was a meter, so you couldn't manipulate it too bad without getting it. And it really made good people separate from the bad people, because you had to time your CCs. You had to time your breaker with a big cooldown, and so that really made it effective. And this game uses the stamina as a CC breaker, but you're having one resource that really no one uses except for PvP. So everyone, like 5 seconds into the game, I realized, yeah, magic is really powerful. It didn't take me very long to go, well, this ability hits for 100, this does 200, and I can use it 5 more times. Why wouldn't I do that?
Oh, absolutely. The whole premise of way they built the game, it doesn't matter. They could increase... Let's just say right now they increase all stamina abilities by 500%. It's still not going to matter, because they're triple dipping. Anyone who's a stamina user is eventually going to be out of stamina, and then they're going to die because they can't dodge, they can't CC break. Like, there is a fundamental problem with how they design stamina abilities and how they are using the stamina resource. And increasing these abilities, that's going to be great. You know what's going to happen? We're going to have someone who's going to be able to burst somebody down in like 2 seconds, but then they're useless the rest of the fight. Like, complete. Because I can critical charge, if they increase all that stuff, I can critical charge you, knock you down, stun you, and just spam every single stamina using ability I have until you're dead. But then what happens? I'm completely out of stamina. There's no sprinting. There's no dodging. I'm useless. I'm a one-shot wonder, essentially, at that point, where if I can stun you and kill you before the stun wears off, which is essentially what's going to happen, that's it. There's no, you're still not going to fix the problem with the Elder Staves Online with... that's what I'm calling it from now on until they fix this, Elder Staves Online. No one's going to go stamina until you fix this problem, because anyone who's stamina is not going to be able to dodge out of mechanics, and these fights are supposed to last more than 3 seconds. Theory and Archive being apparently the exception here. Long PvE-related fights, boss fights are supposed to take 3, 5, 10 minutes. That's what they're supposed to take. It's supposed to be an encounter, and if you're a one-shot wonder where you blow all your stamina in 30 seconds, yeah, you may do 1500 DPS in 10 seconds amount of time, but watch your DPS drop when you're completely out of stamina. And that's another thing that's a problem. Like, yes, you have the Mage's Guild ability, Equilibrium. The only class that I know that has any kind of stamina regeneration is the Templar. We have
Green Blood.
You have Green Blood. Does that do it as well?
Of course, a Dragon Knight has something.
Oh, of course. They're OP. They have everything. But it still doesn't do enough, I say, to completely warrant using stamina. They need, and other classes such as Sorcerer and especially Nightblade are going to have issues if they don't have some sort of ability they can put on their bar to act as a emergency regen. I think what they need to do is they need to maybe get rid of, I don't know, Evil Hunter from Fighters Guild. I mean, yes, it's a passive buff that increases your stuff for Daedra. Get rid of it and give us a essentially a copy paste of Equilibrium, but for stamina. I mean, yeah, you'd be like, oh, well, that's not very unique. Oh my, who cares? It's for stamina users. Happy day, you know. If they would actually do something like that, it would probably take away the, like you said, the 1,000 DPS. You could probably pull 1,000 DPS as a melee if you had an Equilibrium ability in the game that worked for stamina. You know what I mean? Just eat your health and get stamina, and then someone heals you. You just have an infinite stamina pool. Then you could probably pull 1,000 DPS with a melee weapon. It's just they need to do something, either remove Equilibrium from the game to solve the Magicka issue, or add a copy-paste ability that does the exact same thing for stamina. And then that would at least help the stamina builds. Would it completely? I don't think it will until they do something else with the triple dipping, but that's my opinion. Ace, you've been kind of quiet on this entire subject. What do you think?
I know nothing about Templars. I have no input. I'm just I'm here listening intently to your conversation.
Well, you don't have anything even about the stamina using abilities, such as the triple dipping, like what they do that you use stamina for dodge, CC break, as well as melee abilities, whereas magic is used for nothing but spells?
I only ever sprint. That's what my stamina's for, and it works fine for me.
She wonders when we're playing, she's like, why don't you ever sprint? I play a melee character. I'm like, because I need that stamina. If I sprint, I'm useless.
I sprint everywhere, and I'm always, like 10 minutes ahead of him, and he's back there picking flowers, and I'm impatient, and now I know why.
Right on. Yeah. Well, that's why I don't use stamina, because if I did, I would be completely out of use. I just would be worthless. So
say one more thing about
yeah, go ahead.
blocking is overpowered as well. If you're a Dragon Knight with Sword and Board, basically I just block. You can't kill me. I have Green's Blood, which heals me based on percentage of health I have lost. I soloed a veteran rank Dolman really without any problems the other day, just using that. I block, use Talons to build up my ultimate. When my ultimate's up, drop my standard, clear everything out, rinse, repeat. Because blocking, I take so little damage. And then I just use a potion, or whatever you want to call them in this game. I think they're called potions, to regenerate my stamina, keep Dragon's Blood up. You can't do damage to me. And so basically I can just hold anything on me. The more targets that come to me, the better, because then I use my Talons, which does immediate damage. That's ultimate generation. As soon as they're done being rooted, it does damage over time. That's ultimate regeneration. And so I'm taking damage, that's ultimate regeneration. So that's kind of the trick with that, is that I don't use stamina for any abilities. Why? Because I'm blocking with it. So that's another reason it's broken and needs to be another resource, like I think you were saying, in my opinion.
Now, you sent me a link on Twitter earlier about the unkillable Dragon Knight, which I then joked about, no wonder it's a Dragon Knight. Do they do something similar in that video?
Well, that was me in that video.
That was
the Dolmen.
I didn't even. I was watching the video, but I didn't even take notice that it was you. That's awesome.
That's me in the video soloing the Dolmen, and that was like a first-time try. I'm like, yeah, we'll record this, see if I can do it. So yeah, that's all I'm doing is just blocking, hitting a couple times. They even pin me down in a flame pool, but the lower my health gets, the bigger my self-heal becomes. So as you become better at the class, you're really timing it. So you're like at 9%, boom, Dragon's Blood. Now I'm back up at 50. I hit it again, I'm at 70% health. That's two abilities. I use a potion, now I'm at full magic. So as you can see, it's really hard. That's why it's overpowered, in my opinion. It's because I can do that sort of stuff. And
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say now. See, I disagree to the extent that I think blocking should be part of the stamina build because when you're using a shield, that's part of what you're doing, or even a sword.
Yeah.
I don't mind that as using a stamina resource. Now, what I would really like to see, again, please no one freak out because I'm gonna get into a little bit of math here. I would like to see an algorithm put in place that converts the amount of damage that you're blocking into the amount of damage or the amount of stamina consumed. So, like,
I bet they have that. Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually, see, I don't see much of a difference. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone can tell me. But when I'm blocking, yes, it eats a little bit of my stamina, but it looks like it's the same whether or not I'm blocking a normal attack or a power attack or a special ability. It all seems the same to me.
What seems the same? Your stamina it takes back?
Yeah, the stamina reduction. Like, it all seemed the same to me. Am I wrong in this?
I don't know. I was going to say, I know that the damage you take is way different depending on which weapon you're using, but that I don't know.
Well, yeah, I know if you block with a two-handed sword, yeah, it reduces a little bit. But you still take a little bit. But if you're using a shield, I think there should almost be like a simple conversion method where if you block a light attack that does 100 damage, it costs you 10 stamina, okay? But if you block a power attack that would do 500 damage, it costs 50 stamina. So maybe you have to make the choice of, well, if I'm sitting here blocking all these light attacks, it's eating away at my stamina, and I'm not going to have enough to block that really powerful attack when it comes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you could be right, but I think it changes because I know bosses, when they charge up and they have that, I don't know, thing over their head, that the combat queue, that I have to have a lot of stamina for that. So maybe that's different than just a normal, like, swipe at me. I don't know.
Perhaps, and I could be wrong. I just, from my limited experience, and I've been doing like mostly solo, or maybe like I did do the Vault of Madness. I think Kipster died, and I pulled out my sword and shield, and I tanked the boss. And when I was blocking, I wasn't noticing my stamina going down any more or less when he attacked me, whether or not it was a simple swing or if it was a power attack or a special ability. It all went down about the same for me. Now, I could be wrong, but I think I don't mind blocking being part of the stamina mechanic, but I really think they need to adjust how it's done, that if you sit there and block the entire time, or maybe even do a constant drain where while you're holding your thing up, while you're holding that shield up, your stamina's going down all the time. Kind of like stealth.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
So, I don't even care. It could be the same flat, it takes away 10 stamina every time you take a block, no matter what it is. But while you're holding that shield up, your stamina should be ticking down. Just like they use it for stealth. Which, again, make that, quadruple dipping now, because stealth as well uses stamina. I just forgot about that because, whatever. But, yeah, while you're walking around in stealth, that's ticking away at your stamina. And I think it should do the same thing when you're blocking. While you're holding that shield up, your stamina should be ticking down.
Yeah, so you can't infinite block. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would definitely make tanks and stuff. Not saying that the tank job's not hard enough as it is, but that infinite block is a problem. It would make you go, okay, timing better. Like, oh, he's going to do attack now block, and then let go of it right away so you're not wasting stamina, not just sit. I was watching somebody on YouTube. They were they recorded some stuff when they were in Craglorn and they were doing a delve. I swear, the tank sat there and held the shield. He walked with the shield in front of me. He never dropped that shield. That's all he did. He sat there and held the shield in front of him. That's all he did the entire fight. That's it.
Yeah, you can get away with that. Really good tanks, like the guy who's on Entropy Rising. I was talking to him on Twitter, and he gave some good tips. Like, what he does is there's a global timer, 1 to 2 seconds. So you can get a light attack in. If you have extra stamina, you can also bash while you're blocking. So that's what the really good ones do. You can get away with that and beat it, but when you do real hard content, nope.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I'm sitting there looking at it going, well, that doesn't take a lot of skill to hold your your left mouse button down, just hold your
Right.
shield out. That's it. That's all they're doing. And yeah, when they might do an attack to hold threat, but majority of the time they're sitting there hiding behind their shield. It's kind of like, why don't you just throw the shield into the ground, just stand behind it, because you don't even need, But all right. Anyone have anything else to say about how Gimp stamina builds are and how they need to be fixed before we move on?
We covered it.
No? Okay. The last bit of news we're going to talk about before we move into our discussion topic is they had an Ask Us Anything Variety Pack 15. And I've asked Thais to read off the questions and answers, and then we'll talk about each question afterwards.
All right, let's see. They start out by saying we're always on the lookout for your questions, whether they're on social media, popular discussion sites like Reddit, or in our community inbox. There's no shortage of great questions out there, so we've gathered some new ones up and answered them for you right here. Why doesn't alchemy have a hireling in its skill tree? This seems to be rather unfair, taking into account that all other crafting lines have them. The response was, all the crafting skills have some commonalities, but each also has elements that set it apart. The passive crafting skills aren't intended to perfectly mirror each other. For instance, the alchemy passive medicinal use separates it from other professions. Alchemy doesn't use rare additives like some of the other professions do either, which is one of the main benefits hirelings bring to the other skill lines.
You know what? I agree, because all you do is the plants and the solvent, but pretty much every time I get a bag, every time I open it, I don't even look at the ore. I could care less. I'm looking to see if he brought me a tempering alloy. That's all I care about. And to that note, Zenimax, please change your icon for citrine, because I get sad every single time I get one of those, because they share the same icon as tempering alloy. And I'm like, oh good, I got a tempering... Oh, citrine. Great. Awesome. Thanks. It makes me want to kick my hireling. Deldia, what do you think?
Oh, I agree with you, because they're almost identical, and like I have to put my mouse over. I'm like, oh my god, yes, a tempering alloy, because those things are hard to get, and they nerfed ore deconstruction. I had to have, because I used to get a tempering alloy each 100 stack. I reverse engineered or deconstructed. Now I don't get any of that. Have you noticed that?
I have. My deconstruction, I get a lot of depending on what I'm breaking down, yeah, it's a lot less. I used to get, like I said, if I broke down a weapon or I probably 1 in 10, I would get something. And by something, I mean a grain solvent or a tempering alloy. I didn't even count the honing stones, because I got them almost every single time. I, at one point, had 500 honing stones. But now I'm lucky to barely get that. I really do think they reduced the drop rate of those items. So, I don't know. The other thing that's kind of interesting, I just have this question, some people can tell me, what is the point of creating those potions like Ravage Health? Like they hurt you. There's potions that hurt the user when they drink them. It's like, why?
Well, there's something you can choose in the alchemy skill tree that reduces how it hurts you, because sometimes when you're mixing things, like in real life, you're mixing something, oh, this doesn't taste very good, but oh my gosh, it's awesome for you. Like that happens in real life. It happened in Skyrim, but there is an option in that skill tree where the detrimental effects are lower.
But why would you even drink a potion? See, here's part of the problem, which I know they'll probably bring in. There's no poison in the game. Alchemy, they kept pretty much exactly what the reagents did in Skyrim in the previous games, but without poisons. Like Nirnroot, I would use that to create poisons in Skyrim, because it had a lot of negative effects. It was just... But there's no poisons in the game currently, so there's no point to make, using Nirnroot for anything, because it's all like reduce speed, reduce health, and when you make a potion, it hurts you. It's like, why even make it?
Good point. I don't have a response to that.
Deltia, do you have a response to that, or am I just
I-
confused?
Nope, yeah, makes sense. I don't know.
No, I mean later on when they add the Dark Brotherhood and Thieves Guild, which I'm sure that's when they're going to add poisons to the alchemist tree. You know, you're going to be able to make poisons then. I really think that's when that stuff's going to come in. Those things might have more of a use, but maybe it's just me. It's like, why they're vendor trash to me, and not even good vendor trash, because they don't do anything except for hurt me. It'd be interesting, like, if these negative events, like Ravage Health, would suck away 200 hit points from you, but then increase your health regeneration by like 300%. It's kind of like a little bit of damage now, and then health regen out the wazoo. But I don't even know if it does that. And maybe our listeners can tell me, send me an email, let me know what I'm doing wrong here. But it just if it's not a potion that, you know, weapon power, spell power, or health, stamina, or magicka, I just vendor trash it. It's worthless. Okay, move on. Next question.
Okay, next question. On the subject of PS4 and Xbox One, there is no doubt that there will be features implemented in the PC game that it didn't originally launch with. Will these features be included with the console game at launch, or will we have to wait even longer for them? The reply was, when ESO launches on PS4 and Xbox One, the content will include most, if not all, of the updates that we release on PC and Mac between now and then. As an example, the recent Craglorn update will be included in the launch content for PS4 and Xbox One.
I don't think anyone, well, obviously other than this first person here, didn't expect that already, especially with their offer to any player who bought the PC edition can now transfer. It'd be kind of weird, like, Deltia, if you were running Craglorn and got all this ability, you know, all this stuff, and then transferred over to the PS4 or Xbox One, and they didn't have Craglorn yet, what would happen to the items that you had? You know, it's like, oh, well, I have this mace, this Yakuten mace here, but oh wait, it doesn't exist yet, so I don't have it. It's all an illusion. This is not the mace you're looking for.
It's a trap.
It's a trap! No, it's bad! So, I'm glad at that, and hopefully, I will say this, that the players who have not experienced the game up until now, when they pick it up on the Xbox and PS4, I think they will have a great time. Because not saying that I didn't have a great time, but there were bugs. But now you're going to be getting a product that's been tested for a year by the PC players, and a lot of the kinks were worked out already. So if you were holding out, your gameplay experience will probably be pretty smooth. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Next question.
Okay, this one is exciting for me. What is the reason or meaning behind your Ouroboros aside from portraying infinity? I would really like to know how you guys came up with the idea, design, and the vision behind it. The response was, years ago, Matt Farrer needed an ESO logo for a presentation he was doing. So he asked me, Matt Weathers, lead artist, to quickly put one together. This wasn't the Ouroboros, mind you, and Matt was very clear that this was not going to be the final game logo. I whipped up a series of drawings and everyone picked one. It was more of an old school MMO style logo, big and a little cartoony. It worked for the presentation, but it wasn't the right tone for ESO. A couple years after that, Matt was kind enough to give me a chance to regain some of my artistic integrity by working on the actual game logo. He wanted a design that was serious, in tone with the Elder Scrolls IP, and evocative of the three alliances and conflict theme that is the central element of our game. I created a thumbnail series of logo treatments, and the one that stuck was a metal ring with three animal heads attacking each other's tails. It was pretty straightforward after that. I iterated on that design, making it less like a flat icon and more like an actual piece of metal art. I molded a version of it in order to make it more realistic, give it more heft if you will, and handed the concept and model over to our talented lead figure artist, Mark Shahan. He took it and did a ZBrush pass on it to give it the age and wear that it needed. It was that nearly final design that we handed over to the marketing team for final iteration based on the direction of Matt Fear and Jared Carr, our art director. I will say this. I've been on this project from the very beginning, and it was a real honor to be able to make the iconic game logo.
Okay, I like that. That's pretty interesting. I like the logo. I think it's kind of unique. And I, who was I listening to? I think I was listening to the Skooma Junkies podcast, which is another awesome podcast out there for Elder Scrolls if you haven't heard about it. But Kitty, the main host on there, was going on about the logo and not realizing that the animals were actually attacking one another. They were eating each other's tails. So I like the design. Deltia, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, I just changed my graphics and had to pay someone to do it because I just can't think of the stuff. So yeah, it's people are talented. They really are. Art in this game is pretty good.
Yeah, I should have done that for the TOT symbol, but I just threw it together. But yeah, I'm not artistically challenged either. So hearing someone talk about the way they design stuff just it baffles me because I'm very logical, like left brain kind of. Even as blacksmithing stuff, I see guys who do this awesome work, and I'm sitting there going, "How come everything of mine just looks very straight and linear?" I don't think I have the capability to be whimsical in my creation at all. It just I can't. So okay.
All right, next question. Where was I? Oh, there I was. Why is queuing for dungeons limited to a certain level range? If I pass that range, I can't use the group finder to find people for those dungeons anymore, and in some levels, there are no dungeons available to queue for at all. The reply was, we currently have dungeon queues set to lock out dramatically overleveled characters for a few reasons. Having a significantly outleveled character in what is otherwise a tightly controlled challenge can negatively impact the play experience for other players. It also reduces the other player's chance of rewards because of our power leveling prevention mechanisms. That said, we understand that everyone would like to conquer dungeons with their friends, regardless of level differences. We're working to make that a reality. In a future update, we'll be adding a new dungeon scaling system, which will allow you to find and participate in any dungeon by adjusting everything to the group leader's level. We'll share more details on this in-development system in the future.
Deltia, what do you think?
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Meaning, you can do everything pretty much from the group. I mean, it's just so much fun. Now, if a buddy's not level, VR 12 or whatever, you can play with them, but you still feel like you're accomplishing something by, either farming achievements, gear, loot, or just helping them out. I really like that. I mean, going back as a VR 12 and just nuking everyone, it's just not the same. And I've done it before just to get everyone's skill points and stuff. But it's just not a fun way to spend my time, just spending 15 minutes blowing up everyone. So I don't know how they're going to have it, the technology, but I'm really excited for this because there's nothing worse than out-leveling your friend and then basically not playing with him or her because, you're not on the same level. Like, that's what really hurts the game for me. Or, like, maybe my wife will come back to the game. I can use my main character. So it's exciting.
Right, and I know that's one of the things is even when the game launched for me, and they didn't patch, I didn't get on to play because one of the things that I like to do is I like to play with my wife here, and the phasing and stuff like that. If I were to quest or stuff without her, or out level her to an extent, which she always says I do, we couldn't play together effectively, or it would be more of a boring task for me because I would be like, yeah, there's really no challenge. When I went through this was difficult, but now I'm over leveled it and I can just destroy everything,
I am really excited for this system for quite a few reasons, especially when you play WoW. WoW lets you go back, not using the dungeon finder, but if you go back, there's so many dungeons and one person can do old raiding content by themselves, which is just no fun. Final Fantasy 14 has the greatest system. You can queue for any dungeon. Doesn't matter what it is or what level you are. You are automatically scaled to that dungeon's level. So it's always challenging. You can run with all your friends of varying levels. You can pick out whatever dungeon you want to do, and you're automatically scaled. So I hope they can find a way in this game to make it work, because it'll be so much easier for a lot of other people to be able to play together.
I love Final Fantasy XIV's scaling system. Fantastic. I think what they're going with this route, though, is whoever is the party leader, the dungeon's scaled to them. Everyone's scaled to that. So if you go in with a party leader that's VR1, everything's VR1. My problem with that is I don't think it's going to help with making it beneficial like Final Fantasy XIV's did, because you were still gaining experience and stuff. Like if you were 48 or something like that going into a level 20, you weren't getting a lot, but you were still getting experience because it didn't hit that power leveling cap, and you still got experience. I think you're just going to be down leveled to 10, or everything's going to be leveled up to you where you're not going to get the benefit anymore. You'll still be able to play. I don't know if their system will be as good. I think they need to tweak it. That's what I was saying by I don't know if it's going to work quite the same way. And unfortunately for the person asking the question, she's still going to have to make friends, because it's going to go by the party finder. You're not going to be able to use that, because when you create a group, whoever's the party leader, then it just levels the system down. So you can play with friends, but if you just were like, oh, I want to go back and do Fungal Grotto like what Rage was doing, and he couldn't go back and use the party finder because he was too high of level. So he had to ask in the guild for help, and we were glad to help. But if the person doesn't have anyone to ask, he's not going to be able to go, well, I feel like doing Fungal Grotto, and I'll just go back at VR1 and it will level me down. So I think it'd be kind of neat if they would level it down, but we'll see. Anyone else on that?
No.
I think it's great.
All right, next question. It seems to me that my enchanting is leveling considerably slower than any of the other crafting skills. It's come to my attention that it could be because the construction of items includes greens, blues with blacksmithing, woodworking, and clothing. I also noticed more experience in alchemy than enchanting. Is it meant for enchanting to be harder than other crafting skills? The response was, we're aware that enchanting takes the longest to progress throughout all of our crafting skills. In a future update, we'll be making some balance tweaks to inspiration for enchanting to bring its progression rates more in line with the other skills. I am so excited for this.
Thank goodness. And here's to the person asking the question. There are different levels of enchanting. Like you can get blue and green and legendary enchants, but no one wants to waste those enchanting mats on low level stuff while they're leveling. Everyone saves those things for higher levels. So like I can tell you right now, I'm sitting on like 4 or 5 Kuta runes. Can I use them? Yeah. Will I? No, because I'm going to wait till I'm max level and then make really good enchants and sell them. Because they're hard to get, So I won't touch them.
Your next question? Yeah? Okay. Next question. Would you be able to comment on any improvements or changes that are going to be made to the Daedric summoning pets, e.g. more survivability in VR content, better AI, or commands so they won't attack stunned, rooted enemies? The reply was, you'll have some basic control over Daedric summoning pets in patch 1.2. Titus, will you stop eating the flower on my desk? Sorry, my Khajiit is currently attacking the flowers sitting on my desk. You'll have some basic control over Daedric summoning pets in patch 1.2.0, allowing you to use a hotkey plus left click to attack a specific target, or a hotkey plus right click to command the pet to return to you. We're also looking at increasing the Daedric summoning pet's resistance to area of effect attacks, but don't have a time frame to share yet on that.
I don't use a pet, so Templars don't get them. I don't care.
I would actually like them to have a little bit more survivability because they really do die quite easily. Although I've never had a reason to control my pets, but just having a little bit more health would be fantastic. Aren't you a sorcerer, Deltia?
Oh no, Dragon Knight, come on, all the way.
Oh, well, I'm confused whenever we call them, the dark elf, dragon knight, sorcerer, vampire. So I get confused.
Doesn't matter. It's all OP.
I don't use pets. I don't think really anyone does. It's probably a bad design, and I've never liked pet classes in the first place. So yeah, I don't see anyone really using them past like level 30. It seems like it's obsolete. So
While leveling, I've used them quite a lot because there are times where if I go into a solo instance, I need both of my pets to be able to complete whatever the objective is because I drop like a ton of bricks if something even looks at me the wrong way.
I don't think they're, like you said, certain games have better AI than others, but this one definitely doesn't. And almost everyone will say the pets don't do enough damage to warrant using them over another ability. So I think their pet system, while it's neat, I would almost think it would be better if the pets were not controllable at all and they'd be like fire and forget pets. Like you summon it and it just does its thing until it dies. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You just that would at least be useful. Like I would do it then. Like I summon, the Twilight, and it just sits there and casts lightning until someone kills it. Or until a certain period. Kind of like the Storm Atronach that you can't control. Why not use that? Because people might use that as an ability. Summon the imps and just let them run like crazy and attack things, and they last for 30 seconds or until killed. And all they do is melee bite. That would actually be fairly useful, and you could actually balance the damage of those, because then you could balance it like any other ability. You could go, well, this is only attributing to 15% of a player's DPS compared to this ability. Well, let's up the bite of the imps, or whatever the case may be, the scamps, and you wouldn't have to deal with the crappy AI.
Next question. Is using the Mage's Guild skill Equilibrium to swap magicka for health and then healing it up again considered an exploit for gaining ultimate power? The reply is, this is not an exploit, but the intent of the system is that you gain ultimate while in combat, so we may revise this in the future. Generally, it is going to be faster to gain ultimate by fighting monsters in the area.
So the way I read this is using the Mage's Guild skill Equilibrium an exploit. Like you just take everything else out. Is using Equilibrium an exploit? Yes, it is.
But the answer said it is not.
Doesn't matter. It's OP. This is what we were talking about in the stamina and magicka discussion a little earlier. This ability right here. And Deltia, what you were telling us, like how people are getting that 1000 DPS, they swap magicka for health and they have healers to heal them. This is what they're doing. They're just spamming Equilibrium, unlimited magicka pool, happy day. Yeah.
Sounds like something I need to try.
Sounds like something I need to try, but problem is I don't have any way of regaining magicka really other than you healing me, so that might be something worthwhile.
Yeah, it's just poor design over an exploit, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. It's poor design. See, I don't mind feeling OP, but I think everyone should feel OP. So like we discussed earlier, there should be an ability that does this exact same thing, but for stamina. Or, what would be kind of neat is allow Equilibrium to be morphed into either magicka or stamina? Huh? What? I don't know.
Well, the morph now, what it does is adds more spell power. And if you have the two passives already for spell power, you're looking at 40%. That's why it's just utterly insane.
I
About that,
really think they
40%.
should just change the morphs to make it when you get an equilibrium. Either if you do one, it switches to stamina. That'd be awesome. They don't even have to add another ability to the game. They just have to change the morphs. Okay.
Next question. Oh, where was I? Oh, there it was. Barrier is currently heavily preferred by healers over Rite of Passage. Have you considered making changes to Rite of Passage to make it more appealing, such as increasing the AoE cap for it? The reply was, in coming patches, Rite of Passage will make you immune to crowd control while channeling. We've also resolved a bug that prevented it from benefiting from the focused healing passive. We think it's cool that PvP abilities are more effective if you are in a huge group, while others are better for hit squads. That said, we will keep an eye on Rite of Passage and make sure it's filling the intended role.
I was gonna say, Rite of Passage or barriers pretty much preferred over any heal in trials and stuff now. Like
Barrier, what's that?
It's a PvP ability that actually prevents health from being taken. It's like a shield. You're essentially a disc priest from WoW, but healers are taking that over actual healing skills.
Really?
If you check out ask
the ultimate. Yeah.
Yep. Ask Kipster and stuff like that. They'll use that for healing rather than other healing ultimates, just because it does better. So it's kind of funny that almost a specific PvP, and when you highlight over it, it's a PvP ability. It's supposed to reduce damage from siege engines and stuff, but it does it for all damage. So people are now using it in trials and stuff as a healing ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, every game goes through this where people find out tons of stuff that's not intended. So it's just going through that stage, I think.
Indeed. Yeah, definitely. And especially with a game like this where, other than class abilities, everyone can do anything, people are going to find, it's easy to find, I shouldn't say easy, but easier to find other games where it's very class specific, because they can see metrics and numbers like, oh, a lot of people are playing X class right now. Well, it's doing crap tons more damage than every other class in the game, So you can then adjust the abilities that are causing those issues. But here it's like, other than class abilities, who cares if a two-handed sword's OP? Anyone can use it.
Next question. The Scout quests in Cyrodiil were changed to dailies at one point, then changed back to be repeatable. People are using them to game the system and climb the leaderboards. Is this intended? The reply is, what you're describing typically only happens in campaigns where one alliance owns absolutely everything. We're working on some changes, such as reducing the overall number of campaigns, which may keep that from happening quite as often in certain campaigns. In the meantime, we encourage you to offer your support to a campaign where that is not the case.
AKA, switch campaigns to one that's actually active? What? I said it. I did. Yeah, no, of course, it's pretty much every single campaign with the exception of Wabbajack is essentially empty. Maybe some other ones aren't, but like ours, like I said, as of this point, I just checked, our Emperor has been Emperor for 60 days. Has never lost it because no one's in there. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they have way too many campaigns for the amount of people playing. They're just not doing the PvP. So yeah.
Well, there's so much problems with PvP right now. I just went into Cyrodiil, and I'm running two GeForce 780s liquid cooled, and I'm getting 20 frames per second. It was down to 5 for a minute, just because there's a memory leak. Every time I go into PvP, it's something. We get in a big group, then everyone gets bugged, and we have to rejoin, and then ride our horses up to the thing, and then it's like there's so much barriers to enjoyment. That's what the problem with PvP is now. There's not enough people. That's one. The servers, you don't know where they're active or not. That's two. There's bugs, and they're big bugs too. So there's three. I mean, so it's like for me, a PvPer, I can't log in during my lunch break, take 30 minutes to do a queue or two. It takes me 30 minutes to get in the thing and find a group. So I'm just gonna leave it until some of these things get sorted out. It just bugs me.
To me, seriously, Cyrodiil is nothing more than a open world PvP PvE zone. Like I go in and people can gank me. That's it. Like
Yeah,
I don't treat it as a 3v3 battleground. I treat it as I'm gonna go do that dungeon. If I see an enemy player, I can kill him. You know,
yeah.
that's what it is to me.
Fortunately, right now, yeah, you're right. Ace,
Yeah.
Ace,
Yes.
come
What?
on, I'm ready for you.
Oh, I hate PvP.
I thought you liked it in this game, though.
I do. I do. It's probably the only game where I've enjoyed the PvP. It really is. But right now it is broken, and I think they just need to cut down on the number of campaigns and really breathe some life back into it. Make players come together. Like
Yeah.
seriously. All right, let's see. Next question. What? So this is a question with a picture. Okay. What can I do to help fight bots and gold spammers other than just report them? Is there a fast way to report them? The reply was, you can easily right-click on a player character name in your chat window and choose the report player option. When you do, the window below will open, which no one can see. Press E to report a player for chat spam, including spamming gold sales advertisements. This will automatically send the report and does not require you to open and fill out a ticket. Press R to report another player for something unrelated to spam. Choosing this option opens the ticket creation page.
You know what? Like people were complaining about gold spammers and stuff like that in ESO. I barely notice any anymore. I logged into Final Fantasy 14 just earlier. 4 gold spam messages. That game has been out for a year and a half now. Like this game has hardly any issue with gold spammers that I can tell. Maybe the one-off mail, but I like the way the game system is developed with no global auction house. It's too hard for the Chinese gold farmers to make money. So I think they're kind of abandoning ESO, which is awesome.
They've moved on to other games. This game is not as popular as other games as well. I mean, unfortunately. And, they're going to go where the market is. And right now it's a new hot game.
That's right. Yeah, the Wild Star is terrible. I mean, it is probably the worst gold spamming I've ever seen. Thaís, go ahead.
On WildStar, they spam you every which way. You get arena invites, you get whispers, you get party invites, you get mail messages. Uh, it- any way they can find you in WildStar, they will send you invitations, and they will try and trick you too into doing it. It's pretty insane how the gold spammers are in WildStar.
And yeah, it's like what are they doing to get rid of them? My goodness, they need to up their game because it's bad. I was watching someone play like streaming, and they got messages and messages while streaming. It's like really, it's that freaking bad.
The arena invites is the worst because that just pops up on the center of your screen. And even if you hit no, you could get another arena invite pop up right in the middle of your screen. And I very rarely see any spammers now in ESO because the mail messages are dwindling. You don't get any random whispers. You very rarely ever see them in zone chats. They like don't exist anymore.
Well, they also did a really good sweep where the GMs were coming in and just banning people who were botting, and like I think they're doing a good job with it. Wildstar needs to take some lessons and just start banning people.
Hi, next question. Being a nearly veteran Nightblade character, I am looking forward to getting the abilities in the Dark Brotherhood and Thieves Guild skill lines. But it is probable that I would have run out of skill points by then. Will new ways to get skill points through quests and other things emerge so we can get the abilities available through those skills? In short, yes. When we introduce new skills and content into game, we'll introduce new sources of skill points along with it. For example, when we introduced Craglorn, we introduced 18 new Sky Shards.
First off, that's pretty self-explanatory. Doesn't really need to go into a lot, but being a nearly veteran rank Nightblade character, just re-roll, just do it.
Why the hate for Nightblade?
Oh,
That's
no.
rough.
I feel bad for Nightblades. That's what I'm telling the guy. Like, just no.
Why? I like them.
Oh, I like them
them
too, but as of now, they're so, like, hopefully they get fixed pretty soon, because the solo experience in veteran rank stuff as a Nightblade is atrocious. Almost every single person who plays a Nightblade has shelved their Nightblade once they hit veteran rank and went and rolled an OP Dragon Knight. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Oh.
I want to know what abilities benefit from spell critical chance and what abilities benefit from weapon critical chance. I have seen people say abilities that do magic damage use spell and that physical skills use weapon. Then I see people say if a class ability resembles a melee attack, it's weapon critical, like Nightblade's Veiled Strike. Please clarify this for me. We agree that this is not communicated as well as it could be right now. We have an ongoing effort underway to improve our tooltips and make them more clear and descriptive. You'll see the first of those changes go in with the next major content updates, version 1.2.0. No, nothing? Move on? Self-explanatory?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay. Oh, I like this question. Is it normal that a horse can continue to sprint even if it runs out of stamina? I think players don't appreciate that trait since it seems to do nothing. The reply: yes, horses can sprint indefinitely without consuming stamina. That said, stamina is still valuable for two other reasons. It protects you from being dismounted when attacked, and if you rapidly press the sprint key, you will get big boosts of speed on your mount, but at a much higher stamina cost. Of note, only horse mounts have the endless sprint trait. Other upcoming mount types will have different special traits.
So pretty much the only thing that was super important in that is other types of mounts. Yay. Like, I want Gar.
I'm really happy to hear this because I have been concerned that the indefinite sprint was actually an exploit and that I could get banned for holding down my sprint button while my horse continually sprints. So I'm happy to hear that, yes, it's okay. It's intended. Now I'm just going to be sprinting everywhere. It's not going to matter. I'm always going to be on my horse. And as for the other mount things, I definitely want a Guar. They are just so adorable.
Deltia, what do you think?
Oh, I want mounts. I want dyes. I want weapons. I want pretty little shinies. What I don't want is a free-to-play game. I don't want that. I don't want all their content based on buying stuff. Because when that happens is when you stop getting veteran rank dungeons and trials and all that sort of stuff. So if they can find a balance between that, they've been very good. I'm so happy. I don't mind spending $10 in real life money for a shiny little mount, but making it so a player actually has to get it, that's even better. It's awesome. Like, especially if the achievement system is tied to the dyes, I'm going to stick with this game for quite some time. That I can deal with.
I agree, and actually, it's one thing that we're going to talk about a little bit in the discussion topic is we'll hit that briefly. The one article that I'm pulling the information from, all they cared about was the subscription model. Like, the first 5 questions of the interview was, why'd you go with a sub model? And they told them, well, do you think you'll change it? And they're like, no. And they were like, well, don't you think you should? And it's like, no. Like, they were pretty much outright going, yeah, we're not changing it. And I'll say this, like, they other games, like I really think they would rather shut the game down rather than go free to play or anything of that nature. So anyone who's waiting on this game to go free to play, I wouldn't hold your breath. Just judging from the amount of money that Bethesda and stuff have, you don't need a lot of players to be like keep the game going. Like, you really don't. Like, Dark Age of Camelot still is a subscription game, 15 plus years old, and there's less than 20k people playing it. It's still subscription, and they're not changing it. Like, they don't.
Really?
Yep. They've actually said that. They're like, no, we're not changing it. Yeah, we've had to cut our development team. You get updates less, but we'd rather shut the game down than go free to play. We don't like that kind of. And Matt Fire and stuff like that, those development guys, they come from that background. I think they would rather just cut their loss and shut the game down rather than let it go free to play. I really think they would. So I would not hold your breath for this game to go free to play ever. I would be insanely surprised if this ever went free to play. Like thinking Bethesda's out of money and going out of business, surprised. Okay.
The last question. I do occasionally group up with a friend to do quests and the like, but very rarely more than that. From what I can see of Craglorn, everything is group-based. While I am happy to see that content come out for the game's longevity, I probably won't see it. Will there be any veteran content in the future that does not rely on being grouped? Yes, we'll continue to add content in the game for all types of players. We may concentrate in the immediate future on new content, which is 4-player or 12-player group-based, but we will have lots of features coming in which benefit all players, including having more varied activities.
I think that's kind of expected because of the type of game that this is, trying to merge single-player games and MMOs. I mean, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit. I'm going to expand upon this a little bit during our Tales section, but that's kind of what the VR stuff is kind of done, like the different alliances. Is how it's being played. So, yeah, it seems kind of, par for the course. Deltia, any words on that?
Well, personally, I you're gonna. This is an MMO. Is this supposed to be with friends? Personally, I don't like large group content. I don't like the trials. I think 12 people is too big. I like a tight knit group, maybe 3 or 4. So for me, if they can add like 4 man or women or whatever you want to call them, really hard dungeons or even 3-person dungeons like they were talking about, and maybe we'll get to this later. I am super excited for that. Because that's what I like to do is have 3 or 4 buddies. That's the gaming to me is like going to a bar with your friends. You go in, how's your day, how's your job, blah blah blah, and you do something while you're doing it. So for me, if I have 3 or 4 friends, that's just what I want to do and work towards something really challenging. So smaller group content, I'm really looking forward to that.
They already were talking, just for benefit, is something called the Dragon Star Arena, which is supposed to be similar to Trials, but for 4 people.
Yeah, I know, and I'm so excited for that.
Me too. I like that. I like doing a whole bunch of stuff. Like, when I do MMOs, I don't generally just stick with one thing because they're meant to have a whole bunch of stuff. I experience everything, so that's kind of exciting. Okay, well, that ends our news for this week. I know we had a lot of it to go over. So we're going to move on to the next section, which is our discussion topic. I don't know how long we'll go on this, but there was an article that Quest Gaming Network put up, which they found another interview with the creative director of the Elder Staves Online. Yes, I said Elder Staves. By a company called Gaming Bolt. I'm not going to even really touch their interview because, like I said, that was the one that all they really harped on was the subscription fee. And he pretty much defended it to a T, which was awesome. But there were a little bit of nuggets in here. And first off, the nuggets include they're adding a new VR dungeon, City of Ash. That's going to be coming soon. There's been no date for this. None of this stuff has dates yet, but it's things coming up. City of Ash was a fun dungeon. I really enjoyed that one. So I'm excited to see it in Veteran. Like, really excited.
Loved it. Love that one.
Indeed, it was fantastic. They're adding another region to Craglorn, which will include another trial, which, to anyone who's seen the story already and knows a little bit what's going on, the missing Celestial's going to show up. Just spoiler. PS4 and Xbox One still does not have a specific release date yet, and ZeniMax Online Studios is aiming to keep their 3 to 4 week content release cadence going, so that's exciting. Now, the real gem in this article is they talk a little bit about the justice system. The justice system will give players the ability to steal from NPCs, but also from other players as well. The addition of this content will allow players to act as guards and attempt to stop the thieving players who, no doubt, feel like they are simply exercising their natural right to the 5-finger discount from our pockets. That means that the system will be adding a type of PvP into the main world, non-Cyrodiil. As a result, Sage also stated the players will be able to kill NPCs, but there wasn't any clarification if he meant any NPC, including quest givers. A direct quote from Paul Sage is, "We're looking on adding a justice system, which is where players can steal from NPCs, and the NPCs will react to that. I can kill NPCs, and NPCs will react to that. The coolest thing I think about the system is because it's online, we can allow players to not just steal and kill, but they can also become guards and act in justice. So you'll have a little bit of PvP in the real world with the justice system." Justice system. How awesome does this sound? They go first.
It sounds amazing. Then I have to really start working with my daggers, because I need to be like, that sneaky, shadowy, lightningy thief character. That is my dream character on ESO. I am super excited about this because in any Elder Scroll game, like the single player games that I've played, I was always the thief. Always.
Deltia, what do you think?
Man, I don't know how they're going to pull this off. If they do, this will breathe new life into the game. This is pretty much like old school Ultima Online type stuff, and that's what I want. That I missed, like, just people controlling the game and feeling like a little more sandboxy, which really no MMOs do anymore. This would be awesome. Imagine players being the guards and having like a guard-only guild and like a thieves guild, like literally. I mean, gosh, it's gonna be, talk about immersion. That's gonna be fun.
Oh, I know. It would be really cool. Like you said, the Ultima Online system, when you stole or something, you were flagged, your name went gray like you were a criminal. If you were a murderer, it went red. And you could then be hunted down and killed for this. I think that is a really cool... I think they should do something similar to that, like with the Ultima Online system, is if you stole, you're flagged as a thief and people can get you, and like your name goes gray if you're caught, and now when you stealth, you're hidden from other players. Not like, yes, how it is currently, if you're stealth you can't really see the people. I think it should be stealth similar to PvP related stealth. It's almost like you become another part of the faction, and you're able to hunt that person down. Maybe they have a quest, like a bounty quest, like where you see the banners up there that you can step going. There's been a rash of robberies. Please bring X number of thieves to justice, and they reward you with the dragons, the gold dragons, the gold, and or maybe some other kind of reputation or something along those lines. I think it'd be really neat to have like a reputation type system that that fluctuates, really. That if you act as a guard, you're more recognized as, oh, this person's a law-abiding citizen. They get a title like the law-abiding citizen or something along those lines. I don't know. But if you start being bad, you lose that title and you become the sneak thief or whatever the case may be. And like this balancing reputation comes into effect whether or not you're a thief or whether or not you stand for justice.
You and I are probably going to have to stop playing together when this game comes out because I'm just going to be picking everybody pockets, and the title above me is going to be the sneak thief, and you're going to be the law-abiding citizen. And if you put me in jail, I might have to make you sleep outside.
That's called bribing the guards. Indeed, and I think it'd be neat that if you're caught as a thief, you can escape and stuff of that nature. But like Ultima did it, where for depending on the level of your crime, carried a sentence. Like you were flagged as a thief for X number of hours, or logged as a murderer. Now, as long as you weren't, and you could be killed during that time. Do you think they're going to do something like that, Deltia?
I really don't know how they're going to pull this off. It has to have been in the works for a while now, from what it sounds like. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I know there was a lot of, I won't say backlash, but there was a lot of players going, oh, because let's face it, the players of us who like to be the mages are the stalwart paladin types in Elder Scrolls are kind of small. What do most people like to do? Sneak and shoot with a bow. You know, pick locks and stuff like that.
Do you think most people like to sneak? Because, like, real quick, I mean, I hate games that you have to sneak. I've always played games as the big meathead tank run at people and get in their face. And I'm like, why do they always have these mechanics in these games for sneaking? But does anyone like that? And it seems like everyone likes that.
In Elder Scrolls, I think the vast majority like it.
Yes, I can. Yes, in Skyrim, I sneaked everywhere. I was always stealth during guns instead of sneaked. I was always stealth. And if we would go into, I don't know, a dwarven ruin at the same time, and it would take him 15 minutes to get to the end. An hour and a half later, I'm only halfway through because I stealthed the entire way. I'm slitting, I'm killing people while stealth with my daggers, you know, because of that awesome X amount of extra damage. Like I killed everybody with bows. It's just in real life, it's you can't really be a criminal. So where's the one place you can actually be a criminal? In a game. So if they have the option to be stealthy and to just murder random people and to steal everything from everyone, people are usually going to flock to that system because it gives you a chance to do something that you couldn't normally do.
I don't know, Delty. I'm like you. I'm the guy who runs in going, I'm pulling everything! And I just grab everything and just try to kill it all. That's how I roll. Big sword, lots of damage.
You and I can get along.
Yeah, it's what I don't need to sneak. Just I look at her, I'm like, let's just run in. She's like, but there's like 20 guys. I'm like, I know. Well, they can call for reinforcements. I know it's a little one-sided. We're so much more powerful than them, but we'll give them a chance to call for more people because more carnage, the better.
And I'm like, no, I'm cowering behind a pillar trying to stealth and walk around them so I can like pluck them in the back of the head. And he's just running in, shouting. So pretty much what I'm gathering from this is that I can no longer be around Ag because he's going to send me to jail. And because there's a little bit of PvP in this justice system, I can no longer be around Deltia. Because if he shanks me while I'm trying to pickpocket somebody, I will probably have to hunt him down and beat him with random objects.
That would make you a murderer, and then we could kill you again. Go ahead, Deltia.
Do you think this is going to be faction specific, or is it going to be against each other's faction? Like, this would be cool if you were a guard in Ebonheart, because then I could really beat Deis up. I could be the Aldemir Dominion guard out on Ebonheart. Wouldn't that be cool?
I think it would be. I actually, one of the things that really annoys me is the fact that when they made the choice to allow us to go to all the different factions, I don't know why they didn't just make it that the factions are interlinked. Yes, I understand the leveling experience is a little different, but I think after you defeat it, like, you should just be able to see all the players. Like, when you go into a city, like maybe the outside zone. I think they should have instanced the cities a little bit, like with a phasing technology. That when I step out of the city, I see all VR1s in the Daggerfall, but when I go in, I see all the level 5, 6, 7, 8 Breton players and Daggerfall running around in the city because there's nothing in there. You know, I think they should have just mixed it together so you could play like that.
I really hope he cannot follow me into a city. I really
Oh,
really
it's
hope
going
that.
down.
It's on.
I am gonna be so upset. I'm gonna be trying to steal everything, and he's gonna be following me, taking notes, writing down all my crimes, and then he's just, gonna murder me with an axe to the back.
That's right. That's right. So, does anyone else have anything else they'd like to say or discuss about the justice system? Like, how do you think they're going to do it?
I
Oh,
want it
yeah.
now. I'm sorry, Daltia. Go ahead.
No, I'm with you.
It's exciting. If they do it correctly, it will be an amazingly fun system. And I'm glad that they're telling us about it. They're letting us know it's coming, but it's taking a while to put it out, which to me just means that they want it to be good. They want it to be worthwhile. Same with housing. They hint that it will probably be in there, but if it is, we're going to do it right. So I have a lot of hope. I have a lot of theories about how it's going to happen, and when the Brotherhood and Thieves Guild come into play, I think that it's going to add a whole new dimension to the game that will hopefully bring more people back because it'll give them more to do. They can be that sneak thief in a game if they wanted to.
Okay. Before we end this section, projections. We're going to go around the round table here and give us your projections on when you think it'll be released. Ace, go ahead and go first.
Oh, why did you ask me to go first? I have not a clue, but I don't think it's going to be out anytime soon just yet. Yes, they're talking about it, but I don't think it'll be in a few weeks. I think it'll be a little longer than that so that it can really be close to perfect. Now, as with anything, when it's released, there will probably be some bugs. It's normal anytime anything new comes out. I really don't mind bugs. Doesn't really bother me at all. But it's still going to be a little while. Maybe 2 months, maybe.
Deltia, what do you think?
Christmas time.
Okay.
I think it's a realistic time frame for them.
I'm expecting end of August, and this is why. In a previous interview, and they talked with I think Paul Sage, and they were talking about the justice system when it was first announced, and they said they were expecting it around update 4. Okay, we are currently on update 2. Update 3 is due out in the end of July, and that's going to have the die system and stuff of that nature. So I'm guessing update 4 will be around
Oh my God, dies.
the end. Yeah, that's the next one coming up.
Oh my God.
I am just as excited as you are.
Oh my God.
But,
yes. Sorry.
No, it's fine. And actually, when we started the call and you had the video call, I noticed you had the giant banner of Guild Wars 2. That the die system is almost identical to Guild Wars 2 with like the 3 different button boxes. I think it's gonna be great.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't you see the
I
image
heard
of it?
Well, Star Wars die is okay, but I heard that's like the cream of the crop as far as dies go.
Every armor, depending on what it is, has different sections you can die, and this one has 3 different sections. So when you die the large section, it gets the bulk of it, and then when you die the 2 smaller, it does the accents.
That's going to breathe so much life into the game because there's going to be things I would never have done, but if it's tied to the die, I'm going to get that achievement. I will get that achievement. I'm starting already to I finished all the quests today. I'm going to get those achievements.
In Guild Wars 2, I was the person who, even though I was broke, any money I made, I would buy dye. I had over 250 dyes because I was constantly dyeing my armor. I would stop in the middle of a quest just to dye my armor. And I am hoping that this game allows me to run around as the Pink Ranger. Because I will be Thais, she who eats your tears, the Pink Ranger. That will be me.
Well, at least you'll be easy to spot when we kill you for thieving.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to end our discussion topic for this evening. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to move on to my personal favorite part of the show, the Tales section. Now, before we get going, last week and this week I sent out little Twitter responses to people going, tell us about your adventures and we'll feature them on the show. I thought it'd be a neat little thing to see what other people are doing in the Elder Scroll or the Elder Staves Online, other than leveling your destruction staff. So first off, we're going to go through the Twitter responses first, and then we'll go through the host show first. So first off, Michael on Twitter, that's at MIKLKATTW. I wonder if he just threw that together. He has been leveling new skills in the VR zones. Pretty cool, Michael. Good luck with that. I personally would have went back to the Cold Harbor zone and tried to level it in that 50 zone before you started hitting the VR difficulty, but...
I am actually quite curious how you're going to accomplish that because I still have to level my daggers, and I was having a hard time in Cold Harbor with Ag. So if you figure out a way that you're able to do it with weapons, let me know.
I have a tip for you.
Okay.
I'm going to make some videos on this, but actually leveling an ESO is fantastically easy. First off, your weapon bars, the leveling is based off the XP you get on them. The more weapon skills you have from that skill line, you get more XP, right? So what you do is you load up your bar right before you do a quest turn in. You turn it in, you go back to your normal bar. And then you can't keep doing that. And basically you never have to use those junky skills you don't want, and you get massive, fast XP gains for it. You also have another set of weapons that you equip that have the increased experience line on it. And there's actually a Wicked's Outfitter lets you do this with one key button. So you have a leveling set with your weapons, your abilities. You press another button, it goes back to your normal walk around stuff. You can level abilities and never even use them.
Wow. Wow.
That's actually an awesome tip. I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
No idea.
Well, I'm doing
I'm going
that.
to show you guys. I'll show you guys how to do it online. I'll do a YouTube video here in a week or so explaining exactly that. But yeah, that's how I found out how to do it real fast. So
Thank you.
That's awesome. Definitely awesome. Next up, we had Martin. That's at MCMAENZA. ZA. Well, Zia. Bested Molag Ball and started VR content in the Ebonheart Pact zones. You're going to love Ebonheart Pact, just so you know. It's great.
it is.
Our friend Road from TSOcast, love Road. Naked Nord is well into VR veteran rank 3 now. Might hit 4 this weekend. The hero of the pack conquers the Covenant. And what's really cool is he is literally doing this all naked except for boots. So no armor, just going at it with a pair of boots and a greatsword.
Do you happen to know what class he is? Because if I was naked as a
yeah.
sorcerer, there'd be no way.
What do you think?
Yeah, Dragon Knight.
Dragon Knight.
Well, he did a Templar as well, but I think the Naked Nord is a full-out Dragon Knight.
Naked Nord's a full-out Dragon Knight, yeah.
Oh, well, no wonder he can do everything naked, since they're just OP.
Yeah, it's OP. We're good. Manic Pixie Carly, that's at KARITHINA, fell through the world just before my fight with Molag Ball. An unexpected end to the world's hero. Thank gosh for /stuck. Man, that's kind of anticlimactic, isn't it? Just, nope, through the world. Awesome. And Aloha, that's at ELLOA WENDY on Twitter. They just finished their first run of City of Ash. So gorgeous. And they actually had a link in the Twitter response. They took a picture and put it up. I love City of Ash, so that's awesome. So those were our Twitter responses for the week. And I kind of like this idea, fans. Let us know if you like the idea. I think it's kind of neat just to hear what listeners are doing in Tamriel. I think it's a neat little idea.
I like it too. I really do. So yeah, if you have anything more, let us know. That was awesome to hear what everyone else is doing, since we always tell people what we're doing in game.
Right. Okay. Now we're gonna move on to the host's tales. So Deltia, why don't you go first, because you are our guest, and tell us a little bit about your character. Like, if you've listened to the show, our character, we talk about how our character build is mechanic-wise, and then we go on what we did in the game this week.
Okay, sure. I am a Dragon Knight Nord badass. 5 heavy, 2 light, sword and board, and either a destruction staff, a restro staff, or a bow. I got them all almost at 50, and I have 270 skill points. So I have a lot of skills, a lot of different things going on with my guy. Basically, if I'm playing it right, I cannot die, and I will take on mobs, 20 mobs deep, throw a dragon standard down, and kill everything. I got it set up so I can have basically I have 2,500 health, almost 2k magic, and 1,500 stamina. I have full armor, basically the soft cap. I can get to the hard cap using one ability. What else do you want to know? It's pretty BA. And if I go destruction staff, use a spell crit potion, and throw mage light on, I almost have 100% spell crit for 15 seconds. So everything dies once my standard's up. And that's my character. As far as what I've been doing in game, I really enjoy the stories, and so I just finished all the major storylines. So Ebonheart Pact, all the Merry Dominion, and then I just finished up the Daggerfall ones. And I can say they're all pretty good, the main story arcs. I did like the Ebonheart Pact the most as far as storylines. It was really, really fun. But I was really surprised by Daggerfall Covenant as far as storytelling and whatnot. It was very good. But what my character does, I do a lot of solo play, and then at night my friends get on and we'll do like either Craglorn or stuff. So endgame in the ESO right now, I don't know. It's not the best thing. It needs to vary. I think once the justice system comes out, like Star Wars: Old Republic, you had the game, but once they had Galactic Starfighter that came out, and that was like a whole new system essentially. It really breathed. Well, I didn't like it, but it's just something else to do and really breathe life into the game. So for me, what I'm doing now is trying to make videos and finding out what the best thing to do is, and then just spending time with my friends doing dungeons or getting skill points, helping them level alts, getting crafting. All my gear is legendary now, and so I'm pretty much done with that character. So I kind of want to do some videos and show other people how to do it. Kipster has been helping me out a lot, but my tanking build's pretty solid. I use the Hiss Bark skill set, the set bonus, so I have a 20% chance at dodge. A lot of people don't know this, but dodge does not have any animation returns. So if you use the Hiss Spark set along with the elude ability and the medium armor thing, you're looking at 40% or more miss chance off the bat, regardless of armor, regardless of anything. So that's kind of how I got my guy set up.
Now, riddle me this, because I just want to make sure the dodge chance, that's not tied to the double tap to dodge, right? That's just a random mischance. It's calculated by the numbers, or?
Correct. Yep. So 200 dodge points equals 20%. And it also goes with Ash Cloud the Dragon Knights have, which is a 30% miss chance. So essentially, if you're stacking all those, you're looking at a 70% chance to miss. So even if I'm not blocking, it's going to be hard to hit me. So some of the mechanics in the game really need to be fleshed out as far as what's overpowered and what's not. Because people are starting to figure out, a 70% miss chance all the time, that's pretty, powerful. So.
Definitely powerful. Awesome. Is that all for your tales this week?
Well, as far as finishing, like I said, I did the Daggerfall Covenant, but man, the Ebonheart Pack main storyline was awesome. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but and then I'm going to roll an alt, and I kind of tweeted about how unproductive it is, but I really like the main story in the game. I thought it was Elder Scrolls quality as terms in solo play. Going and fighting Molag Bal and all that goes along with that. There was buggy when I was doing it; you almost couldn't complete it, but I think now I got the bug fleshed out. I want to go do it again on a Nightblade and see what that's all about because I just love that story. It was great.
Oh, I agree. The actual main scenario story was fantastic, and I can tell you now it is a lot better from what I heard. Like we had zero problems going through
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah, you used to have to jump off a thing, turn your camera this way, and like it was.
And
Yeah.
I know what quest you're talking about because when we were doing that, I specifically was telling Thais, I said to her, "Well, I know people were saying when they were trying to light the we'll just say candles, but you're trying to open the door, people literally couldn't get this last one. They had to jump off the edge and turn in time to hit the button." But it all worked for us. We had no problems. So they definitely corrected a lot of that. Because I know at one point it was so bad people were just sitting in there and there was a GM that came into the zone and sat there and just granted you access because it wasn't working. And they're like, here you go, next step. But
one
no,
last thing is, oh, go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
go ahead. That's it.
I was going to say I am on the Aldernary Dominion, of course. I'm a filthy elf Nord guy. But I'm always looking for people to play, to do either get a trials team together, whatever. We got our own small little tight guild. So if you're ever in need and want to do veteran rank stuff, Craglorn, I don't know, whatever, whisper me at Deltia, Deltia. I'm always looking to play with other people that are, fired up about Elder Scrolls.
Excellent. It's a shame that you're AD, or else we could actually do some stuff. But no, we're Ebonheart packed. That's how it goes. The best packed. I mean, you heard the Dan Bull rap. That was the best one. It was.
Those were actually decent.
Yeah. But people were complaining about the AD one. I'm like, well, you can't really blame the guy. I mean, look what they had to get. That's all he had to work with. They're just that bad.
Not the queen. She's hot.
I think Omalexi is hotter than Rant any day. Plus,
okay.
Mine's kind of like a living god. So, yeah.
That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, Mother Morrowind right there.
We're going back to Superman versus Batman.
That's what we're doing. Yeah, this is a never-ending the battle here. Whose girl's hotter at this point? Okay. Well, it's time for our tales. Now, first off, Face, go ahead. You tell us about your character, if you've changed anything along those lines.
Well, I think first I have to say that I kind of really, really hate Deltia at the moment. I think I need to re-roll to a Dragon Knight.
Oh, yeah.
And if all that doesn't work, then I at least need to have Deltia build my character for me because I cannot do crap. So, yeah. Wow. You should have seen my face while you were saying all that. My jaw was pretty much in my lap. That is how jealous I am. Yeah. Other than that, I haven't really done anything new because it took us so many days to do that patch. So I didn't change anything. Everything's still the same. I still haven't been able to really work with my daggers because as soon as I put them on, I die. That's
Really?
pretty much it. So
Well, now you have to do that trick. You'll have to put the points in the dagger tree, and then when you go to turn in a quest, load your bar up. Here you go, and your dagger skill will level up.
that's such a great idea. And my destruction staff still isn't max, even though it's what I started with. But my resto staff is, because I die so frequently. I keep switching to my resto staff.
You're a Sork, right?
Yes, I am.
Can I tell you a tip?
Sure, you sure can.
Okay, actually, a lot of people DPS with the restoration staff because there's a passive that gives you a damage bonus for the amount of health you have. And so if you load up your restoration staff with all damage abilities and just heal on something else, you can do a lot of DPS.
Well, I have been DPSing with my heal staff because I have a lot of the passives. So even if that's equipped, I can still do pretty good DPS from my standards. Probably not for AG standards, but I still want my destruction staff to be maxed. I just, with how much I die, I keep having to switch and heal myself.
I was gonna say, Ag standards. He plays a Templar. We're like the worst DPS in the game. We pull 400 DPS. We're like, really? Yeah. No, no. Our DPS is terrible.
Wow, Ag. As a pair, we are really, really bad. That's horrible.
Together, we make one mediocre player.
Yes! That's an awesome
We
accomplishment.
make one almost barely passable player.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Okay, well, again, like last week was super busy, so I'm kind of glad we didn't do a show just because I got like 5 minutes of playtime in because it was just that busy, and then the patch hit, and it took us 4 days to actually download the darn thing. But I actually did switch out a few pieces of light armor for medium because I'm still trying to level them up. My light armor is 43 at the moment, and my medium armor is 42. So once they're maxed out, then that will definitely help. Still got the great sword as my backup. That's my backup weapon, and I'm still leveling the bow, trying to get that out. And then I'm actually probably going to switch to restoration staff because I think that's my lowest, and I will level that up from there.
You don't want to join the Elder Staves online?
Well, I am
Gotta
just
use
through a
staff,
healing.
Yeah. Gotta use staff.
Yeah, I gotta. That's, and actually, I have decided my final build will be a great sword in my main, and my offhand will be a destruction staff. I'm falling into line with the rest of the drones because that's what I have to do.
You know what? Just the heck with it. I am gonna get rid of my destruction staff, and I am gonna go daggers and resto. That's what I'm gonna do. That is my plan from now on.
Ooh.
Then if you ever do trials, they're only going to allow you to go. It's no, don't you dare switch off that resto. No, don't even think about it.
They would probably need to input an achievement just for taking me along, because I am just that bad of a player. Like, oh, you were that gimped? You brought Thais with you? Just here, take the loot. It's free. You don't have to kill anything. We feel sorry for you.
Yeah, but you have fun, don't you?
Oh yeah,
Oh, that, yeah, definitely. Even if
There
I
you go.
die 5 billion times, I still thoroughly enjoy myself.
Do you really die a lot?
I do. I die every time we go to pull mobs. I pretty much die every single time.
it's not that bad. You're exaggerating a little.
No, I'm actually not. Because do you remember the one when we go into our little hint to our tail section? We went into this cave in the new VR zone that we're in, and Ag just so happened to turn somewhere and I wasn't paying attention and I attacked something. That one VR mob raffle stomped me. I died in that cave in like 10 seconds. And I had already previously died on Stros Mackay already. I die all the time. Just all the time. Doesn't matter.
Huh.
It's pretty bad. So yes, if you take me anywhere, you deserve an award.
I keep hearing this noise. I'm like, what is this noise? And my little Khajiit Pinello is snoring on my desk. I'm sitting here, what is this noise? And I lean over and she's sleeping, snoring. It's cute.
I told you she snores and you never believed me.
Well, she does snore. It's cute. But yeah, we finally started the veteran rank 1, the veteran content in Daggerfall Covenant, and we landed in Daggerfall. But I like to follow the stories it was, so I'm going back to Stros Mackay, doing it prior to the beta change. Like, we landed there, and that's how I'm following the story. So we went back there, and we're actually playing there. And first off, like, I've seen the area before, but I love the Egyptian / the Middle East architecture for the Red Guards. I think it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. But another thing I want to say off the bat is a lot of people complain about the veteran rank difficulty. and I both agree and disagree. I think it's a perfect difficulty for like the duo that we have. Like right now it is, so I encourage you to at least bring a friend. One friend is all you need to make it like it's difficult enough that if you are dumb, like we split up, you'll die. Or if you're not careful with your pulls, but it still feels good. Like we're going through it at a quick pace. It's not really that slow, and we're killing stuff. But it's not so easy that we can not pay attention to our screens. It's really cool. Like the one thing that is true is if you don't block a power attack, like the one thing that killed me is the one power attack that I didn't even pay attention to. He hit me. It knocked me backwards, and I went from full health to like 5% in one hit because I didn't block it. And it's if you don't block power attacks, you will die. And I think that killed you too because the same thing hit you.
I died twice. That power attack got me, and I died. Then I came back, and then I tried to run away because I pulled more mobs when I res. And as I was currently trying to run, I ran into more mobs, and then I died again. And that's when you resed me the second time.
Right. But yeah, we're right now we're just running around Stros Mackay, loving it. I think we set off trying to find the elf Nizmamu or something. I don't remember. And I guess it's Bethzark, the dwarven ruin on the island. But we ended up going the complete opposite direction both times, and we went into the grave to rescue the suave little thief, and went into the goblin mines up there. It was a lot of fun.
My heart definitely belongs to that Breton thief. Oh my gosh, is he adorable. Yes, my heart is his. I can't help it.
Yeah, so after he left us, the dirty thief, we went up to this one section on the north part of the island called the Rash Merchant's Plummet. And I think we spent like 20 minutes trying to jump across this bridge because there's a bridge that goes across and it's kind of fallen. If anyone's ever made it across, please let me know. Because it looks like it's almost like a mini jumping puzzle because there's another bridge on the other side and it looks like you can get up there. But every time you try to walk across the bridge, you fall through these holes. So we spent like 20 minutes trying to jump on the board so we could make it across. We never did make it. That was a lot of fun.
I definitely think you can get across, but you have to time it just right to hit those boards. Because if you're even a little off, you fall and you land in the water. But I know it has to be possible. It has to be.
I'm gonna do this. Just if anyone of our listeners can make it across and take a screenshot of them on that other island and show us the fallen bridge and show us on the map that you're on that island, I will send you a tempering alloy. Like, yeah, I will send you a tempering alloy. It's on Stros Mackay. It's a point of interest called the Rash Merchant's Plummet. And if you can make it across that fallen bridge, because there's one fallen bridge and there's a little island, and then another bridge to another island, if you can take a picture of yourself on both islands, like on the map showing your little thing there, and a screenshot showing me that you're there, I will send you a tempering alloy.
Oh, I'm going right now.
Just because I want to know if it's possible. So it's a reward to anyone who makes it across.
In the next 10 minutes, Delty is going to make it across the bridge.
He's not even paying attention. He's doing it. I'm busy, guys. So I got to leave the podcast.
No, that's serious, guys.
This is serious business, man. There's a tempering alloy here. So seriously, anyone who makes it across, take a screenshot of yourself on the islands, and I will send you a tempering alloy. That's how much I want to see if it's possible. Okay. And otherwise, we went down to Saints Port, and it was really fun because we were walking around like in the disguises, trying to sneak our way through, and then half the time I'm like, forget it, screw it. And I just ripped my disguise off and start beating people up. I love the Saints Port area. It's all full of thugs and thieves.
That's definitely where I belong. I enjoyed being in disguise with, all my fellow thugs. Thug life. Definitely.
Oh
You are the whitest Polish girl I've ever seen.
You got a
Thug life
Tupac
does not work
reference.
for you.
Oh my
Sorry.
God, you guys are nuts.
All
So
that all that makes me think of is an episode of Futurama where they go to the naked beach planet, and as Professor Farnsworth is walking away, he has a tattoo on his back that says "Thug Life." That's totally me.
it really is. It really, really is. And I don't even know what where to take that. I'm just, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been leveling in Stros Mackay, and like I said, the veteran content is so far it's pretty fun. Yeah, we're only on the first island. You know how we go, but here's another thing. People say it's a little bit of lack of reward. I agree and I disagree for this one point. The quest rewards could be better. Like, I think I got 100 gold for finishing a quest. I'm sitting here
Yeah.
going, that's it? But as for the leveling, I really don't see it as leveling. Because they discussed this. This was the single or duo player's end game progression. So as you go up in veteran ranks, it allows you to put on better gear. I just look at this as a gear grind. Every time I get a veteran rank, it's like getting a new piece of gear that I can, it's like raiding content, but on a solo scale. So I don't see it as leveling. I see it as solo player end game progression. And maybe that's why I don't think it's as bad as all that, because I don't see it as leveling.
You know what? But we are way too similar, my love. I completely agree. I can definitely see it that way. Because I noticed that as we're turning in these quests and we're doing stuff, I was thinking we were not going to be able to visibly see our experience bar go up. That is how difficult it was going to be. But in turning in quests, it is enough experience that you can see it. The quest rewards are a little lackluster, but I completely understand with you saying that I get it. Totally get it. I love you.
It's just like a raid. Like for the PvE endgame raiders, like how we go through for the gear grind, I see it as a gear grind just at a solo perspective, And because the gear's available, especially with crafting, so you have to do something to earn the right for the gear. And then once you hit VR2, craft yourself VR2. Look at me, I'm stronger now. That's how I'm viewing it, and maybe that's why I don't feel it as, oh, the leveling experience is terrible, because I don't see it as the leveling experience. This is end game progression, but on a solo person scale. And I think if more people would look at it in that way, going, this is the end game progression for the soloist Elder Scrolls players, I don't think they would have as rough of a time dealing with it, because it's meant to be difficult. And then when you get a VR rank, craft yourself some better gear, and then it will be a little bit easier because you have higher stats. And then you're essentially, instead of doing raid tier progression like we do in other games where, okay, now I'm all decked out in this tier of gear, I can go do the next raid. It's, okay, I'm all decked out in veteran 1 rank stuff, do all the veteran 1 ranks content, then move on to the veteran 2 rank. Once you hit veteran 2, craft all the gear for you or get gear, and now you're trying to conquer the veteran 2 solo endgame content. That's how I see it. And it's a blast with that mindset going into it. Now, I know people who've been doing this looking for the trials, which I am, because I like that kind of stuff, but looking at it as this is just another leveling experience, I feel like they're missing part of it. Like, this was meant to be the solo person's end game. I think that the group people should have stuck with, maybe it wasn't as advantageous, but group stuff, dungeons and things of that nature to level yourself up. And I think that probably would have been a fair route. But that's my take on it. And anything else to say about the Tales for this week?
Just one more thing, that this area is so pretty. I really do like the way it looks, and even though I've already been here in the beta, I'm still excited to see the whole island again. Oh, and from before, we found that quest again where we have to think of the clues to find the treasure. And my memory is really bad, so I know that I'm going to have to sit down and look at the clues again to try and figure it out all over again, which is totally fine with me because it was such an enjoyable quest.
I'm going to have to let you do it because I remember all the steps already. So I'm just going to not give you any hints. I'm just going to let you do it and you'll lead the way. That's how it's going to have to be.
Oh, but I was such a bad leader and my ADD gets in the way.
Ooh, shiny. All right. Well, that ends our Tales section for this week. We're going to move on to the dramatic reading. This is the 8th and final part of this 8-part series called The Daedric Princes. So, Thais, just take it away.
I know why he didn't introduce the book. It's because the one book that he cannot pronounce to save his life.
Absolutely.
All right, the two books that I will be reading. Well, the first one is Apostolus Lame Balta Mesomorti, and it is by the author is harder pronounced than the book name of the book, Mabai Iwanel Scribe. As brighter grows light, darker becomes shadow. So it passed that the Daedra Moleg Bal looked on Arche, and thought the Aedra prideful of his dominion o'er the death of man and Mer, and it was sooth. Bal, whose sphere is the wanton oppression and entrapment of mortal souls, sought to thwart Arche, who knew that not man, nor Mer, nor beast folk of all of Nirn could escape eventual death. The Aedra was doubtless of his sphere, and so Moleg Bal set upon Nirn to best death. Tamriel was still young and filled with danger and wondrous magic when Bal walked in the aspect of a man and took a virgin, Lame Bealfog, from the Nedic peoples. Savage and loveless, Bal profaned her body, and her screams became the shrieking winds, which still haunt certain winding fjords of Skyrim. Shedding a lone droplet of blood on her brow, Bal left Nirn, having sown his wrath. Violated and comatose, Lame was found by nomads and cared for. A fortnight hence, the nomad-wired woman enshrouded Lame in pall, for she had passed into death. In their way, the nomads built a bonfire to immolate the husk. That night, Lame rose from her funeral pyre and set upon the coven, still aflame. She ripped the throats of the women, ate the eyes of the children, and raped their men as cruelly as Baal had ravaged her. And so, Lame, who was known to us as Blood Matron, imprecated her foul aspect upon the folk of Tamriel, and begat a brood of countless abominations, from which came the vampires, most cunning of the night horrors. And so was the scourge of undeath wrought upon Tamriel, cruelly mocking Arche's rhythm of life and death through all the coming eras of Et Ara, and for all his sadness, Arche knew this could not be undone. The next book is Spawn of Moleg Bal. The author is anonymous. Moleg Bal enslaves. Moleg Bal defiles. Moleg Bal spawns children with the unwilling and harvests the souls of the unwary. Legend tells us that Moleg Bal is the father of the first vampire. Though we cannot fully detail the many species of vampires, we may consider all of them to be his offspring. Most vampires can trace their lineage to the same distant ancestor, an unwilling Nedic virgin whom Moleg Bal defiled. With her, he spawned a race of monsters, who then set upon nomads, spreading his corruption further. Other species of vampires are the result of pacts and bargains with Moleg Bal, who answers promises of immortality and power with an eternity of damnation. Moleg Bal seeds chaos and strife, spreading discord by corrupting soul after soul. His forces are legion, his patience is limitless. His ultimate goal is the domination and enslavement of all living things.
And so ends the series of books, Daedric Princes from The Elder Scrolls Online. Next week, we'll be continuing with a new section of books that I have already pre-selected, and we're going to do the inverse, and it's all about the Aedra. So I'm actually kind of excited about that one. But, so there we go. The end of that book. Next up is our community spotlight, and this week I have selected something from Tiso Elite, and it's something I actually found kind of really super useful. It's called Kelka's Crafting Corner, and it's issue number 1, Gear Choices and You. Now, the main reason I wanted to do this, I think it'd be very helpful for beginning players to understand. I know when we came into the game, we understood item quality. If you played other MMOs, it kind of tells you, we get the idea of the color of the item determines its quality. Well, this goes on to tell you about the different types of armor that there are available for armor choices, different kinds of weapons in the game. It shows you the item level and the quality, giving a list of all the items you'll need as you're leveling up your crafting and what items are being used at that particular level, as well as showing you the upgrade components and what they're called, how to use them. Now, one of the best things I've found, like, there are other tips as well in here for trading out different things, for acquiring tempers and stuff like that. But the thing I found most useful in here is they actually broke down the numbers under weapon traits and armor traits that show you when you put these items on here, they have a base quality. Like when you make a sword with a precise trait that uses a ruby, it has a certain percentage. And of course it goes up with quality, but I never really knew. They actually broke down here completely and told you exactly how much it is based on the quality of the item. For an example, using an amethyst, which gives you the charge trait, which increases the enchantment charges. If it's a white item, it's 17%. If it's a green item, it's 19%. If it's a blue item, it's 21%. As an epic item, a purple, it's 23%, and as a legendary, it's 25%. So at a glance, by using this tool, same with armor, like diamond gives you the impenetrable trait, which increases resistance to critical strikes. It gives you a flat number and tells you, based on the quality of the item, what it's going to be. So white item is 60, green is 70, blue is 80, so on, and it goes on. I thought this was insanely helpful for trying to figure out if I wanted to hit a certain percentage without actually spending the time to craft the item. This could tell me where I could mix and match and get those items. So I thought that was really super helpful. So if you're interested in checking that out, it is on tisoelite.com, and it's Kelka's Crafting Corner. I think newbies this would help you out a lot, and I think there's some little nuggets in there for us long-term MMO players. So I want to thank Kelka for creating the guide, and Tiso Elite for being an awesome part of the Elder Scrolls Online community. Next up is our guild spotlight, and this is just time for us to tell you how to find us if you're interested in joining our friends and family guild. For Tales of Tamriel, you can whisper or send an in-game mail to @Aggelos, that's AGGELOS, or @TierEater, TEAREATER, for an invite to the guild. Also, if you want to PvP with us, or in this case PvE with us in a PvP zone, we are representing the Ebonheart Pact on the Hope's Fire campaign. That will be subject to change because I know they're going to be squashing the campaigns eventually and doing some different rule sets. So we will update everyone when those PvP changes come around. Moving on to our next section is our emails and fan feedback. So we didn't have any iTunes reviews this week, but we did have some emails. So thanks. Go ahead and read some emails.
All right, the first email is from Eve Trael. Salute! Congrats on turning 21. Another tandem triumph in my book. And speaking of books, amazing job with the read, these. You did say you practiced ahead of time, but still, you sounded flawless. Well, thank you very much. Since you both are now VRs and slowly experiencing the 50 plus and 50 plus plus content, I thought it fitting that perhaps you could touch on the discontent that many are suffering from during the climb through the ranks. Specifically, the lack of increase in stats and gold rewards from questing and loot. I realize the hunt for sky shards alleviates the complete lack of character progression, but perhaps more could be gained after reaching level 50. As a VR content incentive, how about a 1% increase to stats across the board per rank? I think that would give you the feeling of progression without being too OP and give you that extra boost to combat, the increased content difficulty. Definitely quest rewards need to be scaled up with the VR content and should be based on a percentage as well. Say base plus 10% per VR level. Just my 2 cents. Thoughts on the subject? Many continued tales and stay moist.
Well, actually, you know what? I did my whole spiel in the earlier section about how I felt VR content was, and I actually forgot this email because I wrote it down 2 weeks ago. So those are my feelings on veteran rank, even though I do agree with the increased gold. Again, increased stats. I wouldn't hate it, but again, I see it as VR content is your end game progression where you get your better gear. Deltia, what do you think?
Well, I think you had an interesting perspective in that if you approach it a certain way, it may feel different. Though I do disagree with you as far as I just don't like it per se. Like I'm playing this Nightblade right now, and it just like before I hit 50, it feels fun. I always feel like I'm accomplishing something. It always feels fast, engaging. My character is always changing and progressing, and it's like boom, you hit a brick wall at VR content. If the VR ranks, I wish they would have kept them at 10. I have no idea why they kept upping them. Don't up them. Up the gear. Make there's different levels of gear, because you're talking about maybe 5% from VR 10 to VR 12 or something in terms of gear value. It's just something else you have to do. I get that, but I really do not like the VR content, to be honest with you. It feels a superficial way to inflate game time. And that's why I don't like it personally. It does not feel like genuine or new or fresh. It's just like playing this game and hitting 50. That's fun. You get done with the quest and all that stuff. It's a blast. Make the progression not VR content, which is basically another way to say leveling. Make it gear, so that like I don't know, maybe you have to hit something like, or make the VR levels mean something. So you hit it, you at least get a skill point. I don't even get a skill point. I don't get a skill point. Okay, so it's just a number. I don't know. I don't like it personally. I really don't, and I think a lot of people have left the game because it slows down. And it just seems like an inflated way to make the game last longer. And that's personally why I do not like it.
Now, before I ask Theis's opinion, I do have one question for you. See, my problem with, like, I like the VR because the gear comes with the VR. Like, you can give me a VR 12 chest piece right now, but I can't wear it till I hit VR 12. So it's a type of progression for me. Even if they stop the VR content and, like you said, with gear progression, I know they're actually talking about doing this anyway, so that's pretty awesome with new, unique types of gear. How would you stop people from just, as soon as the new gear drop, because they always said crafting gear will be on par, from just crafting it? Do you think they should add something like you have to do the content to get rare drops? You know, something to make crafting more worthwhile than just, I have a freaking 100 bars of void steel, and here we go.
I think crafting is already on its way out, to be honest with you, because they are on par in terms of a VR 12 chest plate provides X amount of armor. Yep, it is on par. You know what it's not on par with is the set bonuses. In fact, most PvEers use PvP set bonuses because it has a 10% critical chance on their weapon and staff. So they've already screwed that up when they said they weren't going to have this affect this. Well, too late. There already is. The set bonuses, that's what really is the difference. Not per se anything else. It's the set bonuses make that huge difference. So like there's a 5-piece set bonus, like it's God mode for DPS. There's like a lot of DPS set bonuses that are good for PvP. So what crafting is effective as is if you get it as a green drop, yeah, you can upgrade it, but you're not going to make the top player in the game is not going to make their chest piece and upgrade it through crafting. They're going to get it through a drop, and then they're going to upgrade it through crafting. My opinion. Does that answer your question at all, or is that just rambling?
No, I definitely agree with you. I really do. I think there should be unique things. I think that those crafting bonuses should be able to be crafted. But I think it
Yeah, I
should
agree with
be,
you.
like I don't know, like a special gem drops or something like that. That when you are a special glyph drop, so like you get a we'll just say a Yakuten chest piece that has a Yakuten bonus. It also drops as well a glyph of that you can then put on gear that make it that crafters then can go out and do the raid progression and then craft
Right.
that gear. But I don't.
We've already done that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. But I understand your thoughts. Thace, do you have anything for that?
Um, no, because for me, I feel differently about the VR ranks. Like the quest rewards could be a little bit better, but I don't really agree with adding, increased stats when you level, and I don't really see it as a gear grind. I just see it as, a chance to see the stories in the other zones and questing, and it's fun for me. I get to explore. I don't really have a lot of negative views as of yet anyway about the VR content.
Okay. Um. Next email.
Okay, this is from Dan. Madam Tear Eater and Mr. Ag, I wanted to let you both know that I adore the show. The comfortable, well-balanced narratives transforms my daily commutes into delightful experiences. As a relatively new father, it also allows me to live a bit vicariously, as my duty to slay Wamasu is often overshadowed by other obligations. I do have a question for the both of you. I have yet to venture into Cyrodiil since repeatedly dying to flaming VR13 undead Dino Knights has always been a low priority for me. With the realization that Cyrodiil is currently dead, and noting that a fair amount of that is likely due to imbalances, do you think at this point that ZeniMax can draw players back into PvP by implementing better class vampire balance? My concern is that even if the classes and diseases were brought back in line, the main issue will continue to be the disparities in actual character level, which quite frankly has kept me out of Cyrodiil since day one. Although I have been unable to get a hold of either of you in game, I hope those nerd roots were properly delivered. I would love the opportunity to adventure with both of you at some point in the future. Thank you for the show, and Azure guides you both. Dan, aka at Magonushi.
Well, yes, no one really likes flaming VR12 undead Dino Knights. They are
Unless you are them.
unless you are them, then it's like, oh, this is the best
Unless
thing
you
ever.
are them.
Um, well, I can tell you this. I know they're gonna do. I could right now they haven't went into a lot of detail, but I can tell you they're going to be doing some sweeping changes to the PvP because I'm sure they see they have 20 campaigns out there and only one's active. They already talking about different kinds of rule sets. They've already said they're thinking about separating out the leveling from the VR content, which I couldn't be happier for because the VRs should be separate from because it's even during our guild events when we were running some stuff, we'd go out there with 20 people and one veteran rank 10 would murder all of us and we would not even damage their health. It got to the point where it wasn't even fun for us to do. So I know there's going to be some changes to Cyrodiil, and that's my opinion. Wait until they separate out the VRs. Deltia, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, they did already say that they were going to make different brackets and do a lot of different campaigns, which I think is really good. As far as class balancing, it's going to take a minute to get this game sorted because it's a unique game where everyone can heal, use range abilities, and that's why I'm staying. I love that. I don't have to re-roll every week when some new class gets nerfed or whatever. But Cyrodiil, right now, it's just not fun. It's just not. Whether I'm spending my time getting there or content like is buggy or like the servers break down. It's like, I'm just going to let it be and try it here and there and really enjoy getting the skill points. And I really like the achievement system and wait until that gets fixed. I mean, I was in a battle before my frame rates dropped to 5% where some level 17 come try to kill me. I mean, It didn't drop my health. Like I should be able to beat it a VR 10 or 12, but it shouldn't be where I just nuke it in one shot. That's a person. So I don't know. It has a lot of work to go, I think.
Yeah. Ace, what do you think?
I don't, that they have said that they have plans and stuff. I just really hope they follow through with the plans to kind of squunch everything down because I would love to, after I improve my character, I would really enjoy going into Cyrodiil and just beating the crap out of Deltia. And I want it to be a little more balanced because I think right now I don't stand a chance to beat his face into the dirt. But eventually, I would like the chance to ruthlessly beat his face into the dirt. So I have high hopes that they will fix PvP in Cyrodiil.
Okay. Well, that is the end of our emails for this week, and we're going to move on to our closing thoughts. So, first off, ladies first, Ace, tell us your final thoughts for this episode.
Glad to be back. Like taking that one episode off, I was like itching, kind of like going through withdrawal to do the podcast. So I'm glad to be back. The break was nice though, with with the visitor that we had. So happy to be reading those lore books again. I was really excited to be reading the book that I read today, which just for the sake of being able to pronounce it, to torture Ag, I'm going to pronounce the book one more time. Opusculus Lame Balta Mesamorti, because it's just fun to say.
You do realize I can edit that out and make you say anything you want in editing, right? Because I'm going to. It's going to be like a Austin Powers line. That's what's going to happen.
You will certainly be sleeping outside.
Worth it. Okay, and our guest, Deltia, tell us your final thoughts for the show and shout out anything you would like.
Oh my God, how much time we have? No, I'm kidding. I know I kind of bashed on the game a little bit, or maybe constructive criticism. I really do like the game. The immersion's fantastic. The graphics are great. The stories are wonderful. It just needs some work. And right now, it's in the point of the game where, it's the infancy stage. A lot of these other MMOs people are, going to or whatever, they've been around for 8 years. And so you're going to get a lot of different things with those. MMOs today, there's so many of them. It really just comes down to what environment you like and how is the community. And the community in Elder Scrolls Online is awesome. I really like the people. Everyone's been friendly and helpful. I haven't had the "you suck, go kill yourself" like experience I had in Star Wars, where people just flip out about stuff. And so right now, it's giving me exactly what I want. It's fun. I think Cyrodiil needs a lot of work to be really long-term enjoyable for me. So I'm comfortable just dinking around, questing, crafting until that gets fixed, and really just enjoying the game. I'm really learning a lot of the ins and outs of it, what's the best spec and why. And so I'm just taking time, and like I kind of talked about here, I'm going to make some videos now that I've learned a little bit, so other people can, maybe increase their characters and have just as much fun as I am. So that's what I'm going to be spending my time on, and I didn't mean to bash the game if that's what I was sounding like tonight.
Oh, no, definitely not. I definitely look at all this as constructive criticism because we do love the game. You only get passionate when it's something you enjoy. Like other games like WildStar, I don't give a flying crap about WildStar. I don't care what they do, I'm not passionate about it. It's like, yeah, whatever. I don't care what they do. But this game I love and I get passionate about. So, and do you want to shout out your site? I noticed you didn't do that.
Yeah. I didn't do that. I was rambling too much. deltiasgaming.com, and I have a YouTube site. I'm going to post a lot of videos, kind of like how to level the skills, how I play my Dragonite, and show you guys how ridiculous it is. So if you want to go there, it's just my username is deltiasgaming. And deltiasgaming.com. I'm on Twitter, so if you want to follow, I always follow fans back. So if you want to talk Elder Scrolls and get online, I'm all about it. So just follow me or come chat and leave a comment on the website, do the YouTube thing. If you want videos or some Dragonite specific thing or crafting, whatever, I'll do it. I just want to be a part of the community that enjoys it as much as I do.
I want to see a video of a Dragonite actually dying. I don't think it's physically possible.
Oh my gosh, can I participate to kill him? I want to be in that video.
Well, wait, we'll both meet up in Cyrodiil some weekend,
Yes.
then we'll get a video of you killing me. Like how many shots it takes just sitting there beating on me.
That sounds like an amazing idea. I am all for this. Can it be when the die system comes out so I can be the Pink Ranger beating the crap out of Deltia?
Well, as long as you can beat the Dark Dragon Knight, I'm gonna be all black. But yeah, okay, sorry. We're gonna talk about dies. It's gonna go for hours now.
Awesome. And I definitely, as long as I see it, I always try to retweet everything you do. So keep it coming, and I will. As long as I see it, I will retweet it because I definitely love your site and everything you're doing for the community. So,
My favorite PvP meathead.
Indeed, and of course, Deltia. I was gonna do it off show as well, but I'll do it here. That you have an open invitation anytime you would like to come back to the show. So anytime you'd like to hop on, just let us know. We record Sundays at 3, so you know that. And anytime you feel like talking Elder Scrolls, just hit me up and go, hey, coming on the show, and you're on. So
I appreciate that.
Not a problem. All right, I want to thank all my co-hosts and guests for joining us this evening. I want to thank everyone for listening to this podcast. If you wish to help support the podcast, feel free to donate via the PayPal link on our website. If you wish to contact us with questions, comments, criticisms, the website for the show is talesoftamriel.com, or you can email the show at podcast@talesoftamriel.com. You can follow the show on Twitter at talesoftamriel. You can follow our friend Deltia at Deltia's Gaming. Facebook at facebook.com/Tales of Tamriel Podcast, or on YouTube at youtube.com/Tales of Tamriel. Also, feel free to rate and subscribe to us via iTunes. That helps us out so much. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of Tales of Tamriel. Have a great evening.